When Michael Jordan saw a woman crying alone at a bus stop in the pouring rain, he could have just driven past. After all, he's one of the most famous people in the world. He had places to be, important meetings waiting, but something made him stop his car that night. Something made him walk over with an umbrella and ask if she needed help. What Michael didn't know was that this crying stranger was holding a letter written by a boy who had died 2 years earlier. A boy who worshipped Michael Jordan. A boy who had worn Michael's shoes on the day he became a hero. And this woman, she was that boy's mother, and she was about to lose her second son too. What happened next changed everything. Not just for this family, but for an entire city. Because sometimes, one choice to stop and help a stranger can create a miracle no one saw coming. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. There was a connection between Michael and this family that went back years. A connection nobody knew about. Not even Michael himself. And when the truth finally came out, it proved that some meetings aren't accidents at all. Stay with me until the end of this story, because what Michael discovered in that letter will break your heart and put it back together again. And the twist at the end, you won't believe it until you hear it. This is the true story of how one rainy night, one crying mother, and one champion who refused to look away changed dozens of lives forever. The rain came down hard on the streets of Charlotte, North Carolina. It was the kind of rain that made everything look blurry and gray. Michael Jordan sat in his black SUV, watching the wipers move back and forth across the windshield. Swish, swish, swish. The sound was almost like a basketball going through a net. It was a Tuesday evening in November. Michael was tired. He had just finished a long meeting about his newest business project. All he wanted was to get home, take off his suit, and relax. Maybe watch some game highlights, maybe just sit in silence. The traffic light turned red. Michael pressed the brake and stopped. He rubbed his eyes and let out a long breath. Being Michael Jordan was amazing, but sometimes it was also exhausting. Everyone wanted something. Everyone had a story. Everyone needed help. That's when he saw her. On the bus stop bench just a few feet away sat a woman. She was crying, not the quiet kind of crying where you wipe away a few tears. This was the kind of crying that shook her whole body. Her shoulders moved up and down. Her hands covered her face. Rain soaked through her jacket, but she didn't seem to notice or care. Michael had seen many things in his life. He had won championships. He had met presidents. He had traveled the world. But something about this woman made him pause. Something about the way she cried made his chest feel tight. The light turned green. Michael didn't move. Cars behind him honked. He ignored them. He kept watching the woman on the bench. She looked up at the sky, and even through the rain, Michael could see the pain on her face. It was the kind of pain that went deeper than words could explain. Without thinking too much about it, Michael pulled his SUV over to the side of the road. He grabbed an umbrella from the back seat. The assistant always made sure he had one. Michael had never been so glad about that before. He stepped out into the rain. The cold water immediately hit his face. He opened the umbrella and walked toward the bus stop. His expensive shoes splashed through puddles. He didn't care. As he got closer, he could hear the woman's sobs. They were the kind of sounds that broke hearts, the kind that came from somewhere deep inside where all the worst hurts lived. "Excuse me," Michael said softly. "Are you okay?" The woman didn't look up. She just shook her head. Her dark hair was plastered to her face. She clutched something in her hands, papers of some kind, and a small teddy bear that looked old and worn. Michael held the umbrella over both of them. "Can I help you with anything? Do you need a ride somewhere?" "Please," the woman said, her voice cracking. "Just leave me alone. I can't handle any more right now." But Michael didn't leave. Something told him to stay. He had learned to trust that feeling over the years. It was the same feeling that told him when to take the last shot, when to trust a teammate, when something important was happening. "I know we don't know each other," Michael said, "but nobody should be alone when they're hurting this much. At least let me get you out of the rain." The woman finally looked up. Her eyes were red and swollen, tears mixed with raindrops on her cheeks. For a moment she just stared at him, then her eyes went wide. "Oh my God," she whispered. You're Michael Jordan." Michael gave a small smile. "Yeah, that's me. But right now I'm just someone who wants to make sure you're safe. What's your name?" "Alina," she said quietly. "Alina Cortez." "Nice to meet you, Alina. Now please let me at least drive you somewhere dry. You're going to get sick out here." Alina looked down at the papers in her hands. They were hospital bills, Michael noticed. Big numbers in red ink, the kind of numbers that could destroy a family. She held them like they weighed 1,000 pounds. "I just came from the loan office," Alina said, more to herself than to Michael. "They said no. Everyone says no. I've tried everything. I've begged. I've borrowed. I've worked myself sick. And it's still not enough. It's never enough." Her voice broke again. Fresh tears spilled down her face. Michael's heart ached. He had money, more money than he could ever spend, but he knew that just throwing money at problems wasn't always the answer. Sometimes people needed dignity. Sometimes they needed to be heard. Sometimes they just needed someone to care. "Where do you need to go?" Michael asked gently. "The hospital," Alina whispered. "Charlotte Medical Center. My son is there. He's been there for 3 days. He's only 12 years old and he's dying. The doctors say he needs surgery, but I can't pay for it. I can't save my own child." The words hung in the air between them, heavy, terrible, true. Michael felt like someone had punched him in the stomach, a 12-year-old boy dying, and a mother who couldn't save him. It was every parent's worst nightmare. "Come on," Michael said, his voice firm but kind. "I'm taking you back to the hospital right now. We can talk on the way." Alina hesitated. She looked embarrassed, ashamed even. "I don't need charity. I just needed a minute to fall apart before I go back in there and pretend to be strong." "Taking a ride isn't charity," Michael said. "It's just two humans helping each other. Please, let me do this." Finally, Alina nodded. She stood up slowly like her bones hurt. Michael kept the umbrella over her as they walked to his SUV. He opened the passenger door for her and made sure she was settled before closing it. As he walked around to the driver's side, Michael wondered what he was getting himself into. He had helped a lot of people over the years. His foundation donated millions. He visited sick kids. He gave scholarships. But this felt different somehow. More personal, more immediate. He got in and started the engine. The heat slowly warmed up the car. Alina sat very still, staring straight ahead. She clutched that teddy bear like it was the most precious thing in the world. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You didn't have to stop." "Yes, I did," Michael replied, and he meant it. They drove in silence for a minute. Rain drummed on the roof. The wipers kept up their steady rhythm. Michael kept glancing at Alina, wondering about her story, wondering about her son, wondering why this moment felt so important. "Can I ask you something?" Michael said carefully. "You mentioned the hospital bills. What's wrong with your son?" "His heart," Alina said, her voice barely above a whisper. "He was born with a defect, but it got worse this year, much worse. He needs surgery within 2 weeks or—" She couldn't finish the sentence. Michael's hands tightened on the steering wheel. 2 weeks, not much time at all. "What's your son's name?" he asked. "Lucas," Alina said, and for the first time there was a tiny bit of warmth in her voice. "His name is Lucas. He's the bravest kid I know. He never complains. Never asks why this is happening to him. He just smiles and tells me everything will be okay. He sounds like an incredible kid." "He is, just like his brother was." Michael looked at her. His brother. Alina turned to face him, her eyes locked onto his, and what she said next made Michael's blood run cold. "You knew my son, Diego." Michael's foot almost slipped off the gas pedal. His mind raced. Diego? He didn't know anyone named Diego, at least he didn't think he did. He met thousands of people every year, thousands of kids. Was it possible he had forgotten? I'm sorry," Michael said carefully. "I don't remember." "Diego Cortez," Alina interrupted, her voice shaking. "He was 10 years old when he died, 2 years ago. He worshipped you. He lived and breathed basketball, and he was wearing your shoes when it happened." The car felt too small suddenly, too hot. Michael's heart pounded in his chest. "When what happened?" he asked, though part of him wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. Alina's face crumpled. Tears streamed down her cheeks again. "When he saved that little girl's life. When he ran into traffic and pushed her out of the way. When the car hit him instead of her." Michael couldn't speak. His throat felt tight. Alina continued, her words coming faster now, like a dam breaking. "He died 3 days later in the hospital. Those shoes you signed, they were the last thing he asked for before he went into surgery. He held them and said, 'When I wake up, I'm going to be just like Michael Jordan. I'm going to be a hero too.'" She paused, taking a shaky breath, but he never woke up. The silence in the car was deafening. Michael's mind spun. A 10-year-old boy, wearing his shoes, dying in a hospital, believing in heroes. Elena, Michael said softly, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. How could you? Elena said, wiping her eyes. You meet millions of kids. Diego was just one more fan, just another child who believed you were magic, but to me he was everything. And now Lucas is all I have left, if I lose him too. She couldn't finish. She didn't need to. Michael pulled into the hospital parking lot. The building loomed ahead of them, all lit up against the dark, rainy sky. Somewhere in there, a 12-year-old boy was fighting for his life. A boy whose brother had died believing in heroes. A boy whose mother had nowhere left to turn. Michael turned off the engine. He sat there for a moment, trying to process everything Elena had just told him. There's something else, Elena said quietly. She reached into her purse with trembling hands. Diego left something for you. He made me promise that if I ever met you, I'd give it to you. I've carried it with me every day for 2 years, hoping for a chance. She pulled out an envelope. It was old and wrinkled, yellowed at the edges. On the front, in a child's careful handwriting, were 4 words, for Michael Jordan. Michael stared at it. His hands wouldn't move to take it. He wrote it the day he won those shoes, Elena said. The day before he died. He told me, Mama, if I ever meet Michael Jordan, I have to give him this. It's important. He made me swear. She placed the envelope in Michael's hand. It felt heavier than paper should feel. Before Michael could say anything, Elena opened the car door. I need to get back to Lucas. Thank you for the ride, Mr. Jordan. You didn't have to be kind to a stranger crying in the rain, but I'll never forget that you were. She started to get out, but Michael grabbed her arm gently. Wait, he said. Can I meet Lucas? Elena looked at him with surprised red eyes. Why? Michael didn't have a good answer. He just knew he needed to. Because Diego believed in something, and I think I need to understand what that was. Elena studied his face for a long moment, then she nodded slowly. Okay, come with me. They got out of the car and walked toward the hospital entrance. The rain was lighter now, but Michael barely noticed. He clutched the envelope in his hand. Inside was a message from a boy he'd never met, a boy who had died believing in heroes. And Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player who ever lived, suddenly felt very small. The hospital doors slid open with a soft whoosh. The smell hit Michael immediately, that mixture of cleaning supplies, medicine, and something else he couldn't quite name. Fear maybe, or sadness. Hospitals always smelled the same no matter where you went. Elena walked quickly through the lobby, her wet shoes squeaked on the shiny floor. Michael followed, still holding Diego's envelope. He tucked it carefully into his jacket pocket. Whatever was inside could wait. Right now, he needed to focus on the living. They took the elevator to the 4th floor. Elena pressed the button marked Pediatric Cardiac Unit. Michael watched the numbers light up as they rose. 2, 3, 4. Each number felt like a countdown to something important. The elevator doors opened. A nurse at the front desk looked up and smiled at Elena. Then she saw Michael and her mouth fell open. Is that? Please, Elena said quickly. No fuss, he's just here to visit. The nurse nodded, still staring. Michael gave her a small wave. He was used to this reaction. It happened everywhere he went. But right now, he wished he could be invisible. This wasn't about him. Elena led him down a hallway. The walls were painted with cheerful murals, animals playing sports, rainbows, smiling suns. Someone had tried very hard to make this place less scary for children. But Michael knew that no amount of bright paint could hide what really happened here. Kids were fighting for their lives behind these doors. They stopped at room 412. Elena took a deep breath before pushing the door open. Inside, a woman sat in a chair next to the hospital bed. She was older than Elena, maybe in her 40s, with kind eyes and gray streaks in her dark hair. When she saw Michael Jordan walk in behind her sister, she nearly dropped the book she was holding. Elena? What? Who? The woman stood up quickly. Rosa, this is Michael Jordan, Elena said quietly. He gave me a ride from downtown. Michael, this is my sister Rosa. Rosa's hand went to her chest. The Michael Jordan, what are you doing here? It's a long story, Michael said. He moved further into the room, and that's when he saw Lucas. The boy lay in the hospital bed, covered in white sheets. Wires connected him to machines that beeped softly. A tube ran into his arm. His skin looked pale, almost gray. He was small for 12 years old, thin in a way that spoke of illness rather than youth, but his eyes were open. And when he saw Michael, they went wide. Mom, Lucas said weakly. Is that really him? Alina rushed to his bedside. She smoothed his hair back from his forehead. Yes, baby, it's really him. He wanted to meet you. Why? Lucas asked. The confusion in his voice was genuine. Michael stepped closer to the bed. He had visited many sick children over the years. It never got easier. Looking at this small, brave face, knowing that this child was fighting a battle no kid should have to face, it made his heart hurt. Because your mom told me you were the bravest kid she knows, Michael said, and I wanted to see for myself if that was true. Lucas gave a tiny smile. I'm not brave. Brave people aren't scared. I'm scared all the time. That's not true, Michael said, pulling up a chair and sitting down. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you keep going even when you are scared. That's real courage. Is that how you felt during the big games? Lucas asked. When you took the final shot? Every single time, Michael admitted. My heart would pound, my hands would sweat, but I took the shot anyway. That's all any of us can do, take the shot even when we're afraid. Lucas thought about this. Then he said something that surprised everyone in the room. I'm not afraid of dying, Mr. Jordan. I'm afraid of leaving my mom alone. She's already lost too much. If I die too, I don't know what will happen to her. The room went silent. Alina's hand flew to her mouth. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Rosa looked away, wiping her own eyes. Michael felt like someone had reached into his chest and squeezed his heart. This 12-year-old boy, sick and weak in a hospital bed, wasn't worried about himself. He was worried about his mother, about leaving her alone in the world. Lucas, Michael said, his voice rough with emotion. Your mom is one of the strongest people I've ever met. And you know why? Because she has you. You give her strength. As long as you keep fighting, she'll keep fighting too. But what if the surgery doesn't work? Lucas asked. His voice was so small, so young. What if I'm not strong enough? Then you make every moment count, Michael said. You love as hard as you can for as long as you can. That's all any of us can do. Lucas nodded slowly. He looked tired. The conversation was wearing him out. But before he closed his eyes to rest, he said one more thing. My brother Diego used to talk about you all the time. He said you were the greatest because you never gave up. He said you'd never let your teammate die. He paused, his eyelids drooping. Mama says I'm his teammate now. Then Lucas drifted off to sleep. The machines continued their steady beeping. His chest rose and fell with each breath. In, out, the sound of life continuing moment by moment. Michael sat frozen in his chair. Lucas's words echoed in his head. You'd never let your teammate die. I'm his teammate now. Alina covered her son with the blanket, tucking it around him carefully. Then she kissed his forehead. Sleep, baby, she whispered. Rest and get strong. Rosa touched Alina's shoulder. I need to get home to feed the cat. Will you be okay here? Alina nodded. I'm fine. Thank you for staying with him while I was gone. After Rosa left, Alina and Michael stood in the hallway outside Lucas's room. Through the window, they could see the boy sleeping peacefully. For a moment, you could almost forget he was sick. He just looked like any kid taking a nap. I'm sorry about what Lucas said, Alina told Michael, about being his teammate. He doesn't understand that you have your own life, your own responsibilities. He's just a child who grew up hearing stories about his brother's hero. Don't apologize, Michael said. He's right. When someone believes in you, when they think you're their hero, that creates a responsibility. Maybe not a legal one, but a human one. Alina leaned against the wall. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't really slept in days, maybe weeks. Can I tell you something? Sometimes I get so angry at God, at the universe, at everything. Why did Diego have to die? Why does Lucas have to suffer? What did I do to deserve losing everyone I love? Her voice cracked. My husband Marco died in a construction accident 5 years ago. Then Diego died 2 years ago. Now Lucas is dying. I've done everything right. I work hard. I don't hurt people. I try to be good. So why is this happening to me? Michael didn't have an answer. He had asked himself similar questions over the years. Why did some people suffer while others didn't? Why did bad things happen to good people? There were no easy answers. I don't know why, Michael said honestly. I wish I did, but I do know this: you're still here. You're still fighting. That means something. Does it? Alina asked, her eyes filling with tears again. Because right now, it just feels like I'm waiting for the next terrible thing to happen. like I'm cursed or something. Before Michael could respond, a nurse came down the hallway. She was young with a friendly face. "Mrs. Cortez, Dr. Acoy wanted me to give you this." She handed Alina a folder. Alina opened it. Her hands started shaking as she read. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." "What is it?" Michael asked. Alina's face had gone white. "Lucas's condition is getting worse faster than they thought. They moved up the surgery timeline. He needs the operation within 1 week now, not 2, but the cost." She showed Michael the paper. The number at the bottom was staggering. $180,000, and that was just for the surgery itself. It didn't include the hospital stay, the medications, the follow-up care. "I have $3,000, Alina said, her voice hollow. "I've borrowed from everyone I know. My credit cards are maxed out. The crowdfunding page has barely raised anything. I'm short by $177,000. I might as well be short by $1 million. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor. 1 week. I have 1 week to come up with money I'll never have. And if I can't, my son dies. Do you understand that, Mr. Jordan? My baby will die because I'm too poor to save him." Michael sat down on the floor beside her. His expensive suit would probably be ruined, but he didn't care. Sometimes you had to meet people where they were, even if that was on a hospital hallway floor. "Tell me about Diego," Michael said quietly. "Help me understand who he was." Alina looked at him with surprise. "Why?" "Because I think I need to know. And because talking about him might help you feel less alone right now." Alina was quiet for a long moment. Then she started talking. "Diego was my miracle baby. After Marco died, I didn't think I could go on, but Diego was so full of life, so full of joy. He found happiness in the smallest things, a bird singing, a good shot in basketball, a joke that made me laugh." She smiled through her tears. "He was obsessed with basketball, not just playing it, but understanding it. He'd watch games and explain the strategies to me. He'd practice for hours in our driveway with a ball that barely bounced anymore and a hoop that was bent and rusty." "He sounds special," Michael said. "He was. And the day he won those Air Jordans in a school raffle, you would have thought he won the lottery. He wore them everywhere, even to bed sometimes. They were too big for him, so he stuffed the toes with newspaper. He looked ridiculous, but he didn't care. He said they made him feel like he could fly." Alina's voice dropped to a whisper. "He was wearing them when he died. The paramedics tried to take them off in the ambulance, but Diego made them leave them on. He said, 'These are from Michael Jordan. I need them.' Those were some of his last words." Michael felt the weight of the envelope in his pocket. Diego's letter, written the day before he died. What had this boy wanted to say to him? "The little girl he saved," Michael said. "Do you know her?" Alina's face hardened. "Amara Pierce, Senator Richard Pierce's daughter. She was 5 years old, wandering into traffic while her nanny was distracted. Diego didn't think twice. He just ran and pushed her out of the way." "Did the senator help you after?" Alina laughed, but there was no humor in it. "He came to the funeral, made a nice speech, had his picture taken with us. Then he left and I never heard from him again. His office sent flowers and a card. That was it. My son died saving his daughter and all I got was flowers." The bitterness in her voice was heavy. Michael couldn't blame her. A senator had resources, connections, money. He could have done something to help, but he hadn't. "I need to get back to Lucas," Alina said, standing up slowly. "He gets scared when he wakes up alone. Thank you for coming, Mr. Jordan. It means more than you know. But you don't have to stay. I know you have important places to be." Michael stood too. "Can I come back tomorrow to check on Lucas?" Alina looked surprised. "Why would you want to do that?" "Because I want to," Michael said simply. "Because Lucas is right, we're teammates now, and teammates don't abandon each other." For the first time since he met her, Alina smiled. It was small and sad, but it was real. "Okay, if you want to come back, we'd like that." Michael handed her his business card. "If anything changes, anything at all, you call this number, day or night, promise me." Alina took the card with trembling fingers. "I promise, but Mr. Jordan, don't feel like you have to fix this. Some things can't be fixed, no matter how much money or fame you have. Sometimes life just breaks people, and there's nothing anyone can do." Michael watched her walk back into Lucas's room. Through the window, he saw her sit down beside her son's bed and take his small hand in hers. She bowed her head and he knew she was praying. He walked to the elevator, his mind spinning. In his pocket, Diego's letter seemed to burn. He needed to read it, but he was afraid of what it might say. As the elevator doors closed, Michael made a decision. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number he rarely used anymore, his lawyer's personal cell. "Stan," Michael said when the man answered, "I need you to do something for me, and I need it done quickly and quietly." He gave instructions about researching the Cortez family, about verifying their story, about looking into Senator Pierce and the accident that killed Diego. Stan asked questions. Michael answered them. When the call ended, Michael stood in the lobby staring at nothing. 1 week. Lucas had 1 week. And somewhere in Michael's pocket was a letter from a dead boy who had believed in heroes. Michael walked out into the rain. It was still falling, softer now. He sat in his SUV and pulled out the envelope. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside was a letter written on lined notebook paper. In the margins, a child had drawn basketballs, hoops, and stars. The handwriting was careful, like Diego had taken his time with each word. Michael began to read, and with each sentence his heart broke a little more. "Dear Mr. Jordan, my name is Diego Cortez. I'm 8 years old. I won your shoes today and it's the best day of my whole life. I know you probably get a million letters from kids like me, so you don't have to write back. I just wanted to tell you something important. My dad died last year. A big piece of metal fell on him at his construction job. My mama cries at night when she thinks I'm sleeping. We don't have much money anymore. Sometimes I hear her on the phone asking people if we can pay our bills later. It makes me feel bad because I can't help her. But when I play basketball, I don't think about sad things. I think about your games. I think about how you never gave up, even when everyone said you couldn't win. My coach, Mr. Williams, says you got cut from your high school team, but you just practiced harder. That's so cool. Today at school, they had a raffle for charity. Everyone could enter by bringing in canned food for poor families. I brought in 3 cans that Mama said we could spare. I didn't think I'd win anything because I never win anything, but they called my name, and the prize was your shoes, real Air Jordans with your signature on them. They're too big for me right now, but Mama says I'll grow into them. I don't care if they're big, they're perfect. When I put them on, I feel like I can do anything, like I can fly, like maybe someday I can help my mama not worry so much. Mr. Jordan, I wanted to tell you thank you. Not just for the shoes, but for teaching me something important. You teach people that it doesn't matter where you start. It matters how hard you work. It matters that you don't quit when things get hard. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to make my mama proud. I'm going to be somebody who helps people just like you do with your charity. When I grow up, maybe I'll be a basketball player, or maybe I'll be a teacher or a doctor. I don't know yet. But whatever I am, I'll remember what you taught me, that one person can make a difference. Thank you for being my hero. Thank you for showing kids like me that we matter. Your biggest fan, Diego Cortez. P.S. I'm going to wear these shoes every day. They're going to help me be brave. Michael sat in his car, tears running down his face. He didn't try to stop them, he just let them fall. 8 years old. Diego had been 8 years old when he wrote this letter, full of hope and dreams and determination. 2 years later, he would be dead, wearing those shoes, being brave. Michael folded the letter carefully and put it back in the envelope. His hands were shaking. He had received thousands of letters from kids over the years. His staff filtered through them. Some he read, some he didn't. He had never seen this one. Diego had kept it, planning to give it to him personally if they ever met. But they never met, at least not in life. Michael started his car and drove. He didn't go home. Instead, he found himself driving to the address Stan had texted him, the rec center where Diego used to play basketball. It was late evening now. The rain had stopped, leaving everything wet and shiny. The rec center was in a neighborhood that had seen better days, buildings with chipped paint, cars with dents and missing hubcaps. But there were also flower boxes in windows and murals on walls, signs that people here cared, even when they didn't have much. The rec center itself was a low brick building with a faded sign. Through the windows, Michael could see lights on inside. He parked and walked to the door. Inside, a group of kids were playing basketball on a worn court. The hoops were rusty. The lines on the floor were barely visible, but the kids didn't care. They played with pure joy, shouting and laughing. An older man stood on the sidelines watching. He had gray hair and kind eyes. When he saw Michael Jordan walk through the door, he literally stumbled backward. Sweet Lord, the man breathed. Am I dreaming? Are you Coach Williams? Michael asked. Yes, sir, I am. Terrence Williams, been coaching kids here for 23 years. He shook his head in disbelief. What on earth is Michael Jordan doing in my gym? I came to ask you about a boy named Diego Cortez. The joy drained from Coach Williams's face. He blew his whistle. Take 5 kids, get some water. The children groaned but obeyed. Several of them recognized Michael and started whispering excitedly. Coach Williams led Michael to a small office off the main court. You want to know about Diego, Coach Williams said, sitting down heavily in a chair. May I ask why? I met his mother tonight. She's at the hospital with Diego's little brother who's very sick. She told me about Diego and I needed to understand who he was. Coach Williams nodded slowly. Diego Cortez was the toughest kid I ever coached, and I don't mean tough like he could take a hit. I mean tough in his spirit. That boy had something special inside him. Tell me about him, Michael said. Coach Williams leaned back. Diego started coming here when he was 6 years old. His daddy had just died and his mama was working 2 jobs. Diego would show up after school and stay until we closed. He didn't have his own ball at first, so he'd borrow one from the equipment room. He'd practice free throws for hours. Hours, Mr. Jordan. Most kids get bored after 15 minutes. Not Diego. The coach smiled at the memory. He wasn't naturally talented. He was small, not very fast, not very strong. But Lord, did that boy have heart. He'd get knocked down, pop right back up. Miss 10 shots in a row, try for 11. Other kids would laugh at him sometimes because he was so serious about it. But Diego didn't care. He had a goal. What was his goal? Michael asked. To be like you, Coach Williams said simply. He talked about you constantly. Michael Jordan got cut from his team and came back stronger. Michael Jordan practiced harder than anyone. Michael Jordan never quit. You were his North Star, Mr. Jordan. His proof that hard work could overcome anything. Michael felt the weight of that responsibility settle on his shoulders. Did you know about the shoes, the Air Jordans he won? Coach Williams laughed, though his eyes were sad. Know about them. He wore them to practice the next day. They were so big on him they flopped around. I told him he should save them, keep them nice. He said, no, coach. Michael Jordan wouldn't keep his shoes in a box. He'd wear them and use them to be great. So that's what Diego did. What happened the day he died? Michael asked quietly. Coach Williams's face went gray. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Diego had just finished practice here. He was walking home, maybe 6 blocks. He was in a good mood. He'd finally nailed a behind-the-back pass he'd been working on for weeks. I remember he was bouncing his ball, wearing those big shoes, just happy. The coach's voice got thick. There's a busy intersection on his route home. Lots of traffic. Diego was waiting for the light like always. That's when he saw her, little Amara Pierce. She was with her nanny, but the nanny was on her phone, not paying attention. Amara saw a pigeon and chased it right into the street. Coach Williams wiped his eyes. Diego didn't hesitate, didn't freeze, didn't look around for an adult to help. He just dropped his basketball and ran. He grabbed that little girl and pushed her back toward the sidewalk, got her completely out of danger. But he couldn't get himself out in time, Michael said. No, sir. The car hit him going about 30 miles an hour, threw him 15 feet. He landed hard. Those shoes, your shoes, went flying off his feet. I got the call from Alina about 20 minutes later. I drove straight to the hospital. Was he conscious? Michael asked. For a while, yes. He was in so much pain, but you know what he kept saying. Is the little girl okay? Did I save her? Over and over. Alina kept telling him yes, the girl was fine. Then Diego said something I'll never forget. Coach Williams looked directly at Michael. He said, good. Michael Jordan always protects his teammates. I protected mine. Michael put his head in his hands. This boy, this brave, beautiful boy who had tried so hard to live up to an ideal, who had sacrificed everything to save someone else. The paramedics wanted to cut his clothes off to treat him better, Coach Williams continued. But Diego made them bring him those shoes. He held them during the ambulance ride. He held them in the emergency room. The last thing he said before they put him under for surgery was, "Tell Michael Jordan I wore his shoes like a champion." The coach's voice broke. He never woke up from that surgery. Internal injuries were too severe. He died 3 days later with Alina holding his hand. Michael couldn't speak. His throat was too tight. He just sat there trying to process the tragedy of it all. A 10-year-old boy full of dreams and determination gone because he chose to be a hero. Did the girl's family do anything to help? Michael finally asked. Coach Williams's expression darkened. Senator Pierce came to the funeral with cameras. He gave a speech about Diego's bravery. He cried real tears, I'll give him that. But when it came to actually helping Alina, nothing. His office sent flowers, sent a card, that was it. No college fund for Lucas, no help with medical bills, no memorial, nothing. But his daughter is alive because of Diego. Yes, sir, she is. And you'd think that would be worth something to a man with millions of dollars, but apparently not. Michael stood up. His mind was racing, putting pieces together. Coach Williams, I need to ask you something. Do you know anything about a youth basketball program sponsored by an anonymous donor about 6 or 7 years ago? The coach looked surprised. Sure, that program saved this rec center. We were about to shut down, no money, no equipment, no hope. Then out of nowhere, we got a grant. New balls, new uniforms, scholarships for kids to go to basketball camps. The donor wanted to stay anonymous, but we heard it came through some foundation in Chicago. Michael nodded slowly. Chicago, where his main foundation was based, and Diego was in that program. He was one of the first kids to benefit. The grant paid for him to go to a week-long basketball camp the summer before he died. It was the best week of his life. He came back so excited, so full of new skills and confidence. He told everyone that someday he'd pay it forward, help other kids the way someone helped him. Michael felt like the universe was showing him something important. Diego had been helped by Michael's foundation, indirectly, anonymously, without either of them knowing. The shoes Diego won and cherished. Those were from a donation Michael's team had made to schools across the country, and now Diego's little brother was dying. The connections were almost too much to be coincidence. Thank you for talking with me, Michael said. Diego was lucky to have a coach who cared about him so much. No, sir, Coach Williams said. I was lucky to coach him. That boy taught me more about courage and heart than I ever taught him about basketball. Michael left the rec center and drove to the intersection where Diego died. It wasn't hard to find. There was a small memorial on the corner, faded flowers, a deflated basketball, some photos protected by plastic. Someone had written on the sidewalk in permanent marker, Diego Cortez Hero. Michael stood there in the dark, looking at the street where a little boy had made the biggest choice of his life. Diego could have looked away, could have let someone else handle it, could have chosen safety. Instead, he chose courage, and he'd been wearing Michael's shoes when he made that choice. Michael pulled out his phone and took a picture of the memorial. Then he made several calls to his lawyer, to his accountant, to people who managed his various business interests. He had work to do, decisions to make, a promise to keep, even though Diego had never explicitly asked him for one. Finally, Michael drove to an all-night diner. He ordered coffee he didn't drink and sat in a booth by the window. He took out Diego's letter again and read it 3 more times. I'm going to make my mama proud. I'm going to be somebody who helps people just like you do. Diego had done exactly that. He had helped someone, saved someone, given his life for someone else. He had become exactly the kind of person he'd wanted to be. But Alina was alone now, watching another son die. Where was the fairness in that? Where was the justice? Michael thought about his own life, all the success, all the championships, all the money and fame. What did any of it mean if he couldn't use it to help people like Alina and Lucas? What good was being a hero if he didn't act like one when it mattered? His phone buzzed. A text from Stan, his lawyer, background check complete. Everything Alina told you is true. Family has no hidden assets. Medical bills confirmed. Senator Pierce's daughter alive because of Diego. Pierce never provided financial assistance to family. Another text followed. Surgery cost breakdown attached. $180,000 minimum. Lucas has approximately 6-7 days before surgery becomes critical necessity. Michael stared at the numbers. $180,000, it was nothing to him. He spent more than that on watches. But to Alina, it might as well have been $1 billion. He could just write a check, solve the problem with money, but something stopped him. This wasn't just about money. It was about honoring Diego's memory properly. It was about making sure this family, this remarkable family that had already given so much, got more than just a handout. They deserved dignity, recognition, a future that included hope, not just survival. Michael made another call. This one to Senator Richard Pierce's office. He left a message with the night service. "This is Michael Jordan. I need to speak with the senator tomorrow morning about Diego Cortez. It's urgent." Then he called the hospital and asked them to pass a message to Alina. "Tell Mrs. Cortez that Michael Jordan will be back tomorrow. Tell her she's not alone anymore. Tell her Diego's teammate is here." Michael drove home as the sun started to rise. He hadn't slept. He probably wouldn't sleep today either, but that was okay. Some things were more important than sleep. As he pulled into his driveway, he looked at Diego's letter one more time, at the drawings in the margins, at the hopeful words of a boy who believed in heroes. "I hear you, Diego," Michael whispered. "And I'm not going to let you down. I'm not going to let any of you down." He went inside, showered, put on a fresh suit, and prepared for battle. Because that's what this was going to be. A battle to save Lucas, to honor Diego, and to make sure that Alina Cortez never again felt completely alone in the world. Michael Jordan had won 6 NBA championships through determination, skill, and refusing to quit when things got hard. Now he was about to fight for something more important than any trophy. He was going to fight for a family that had already lost too much. And Michael Jordan never lost when it really mattered. Michael arrived at Charlotte Medical Center at 9 o'clock the next morning. He carried a bag with him, nothing fancy, just some things he thought might help. A new basketball, some books, a stuffed bear that reminded him of the worn one Alina had been clutching the night before. The nurse at the pediatric desk recognized him immediately. "Mr. Jordan, Mrs. Cortez said you might come back. Room 412, same as yesterday." "Thank you," Michael said. "How is Lucas doing this morning?" The nurse's smile faded a little. "He had a rough night, lots of pain, but he's awake now and asking for his mother." Michael's chest tightened. He walked down the hallway past the cheerful murals that couldn't hide the sadness in this place. When he reached room 412, he paused outside the door. He could hear voices inside. "Mama, you need to sleep," Lucas was saying. His voice was weak but firm. "You can't stay awake forever." "I'll sleep when you sleep," Alina replied. "Don't worry about me, baby, I'm fine." "You're not fine. You have dark circles under your eyes. You haven't eaten. Aunt Rosa told me." Michael smiled despite everything. This sick kid was worried about his mother instead of himself. Diego's brother for sure. He knocked softly on the door. "Can I come in?" There was a pause, then Alina's voice, "Yes, of course." Michael entered. Alina sat in the same chair as the night before. She looked exhausted, her hair was messy, her clothes were wrinkled. She'd obviously spent the entire night at the hospital. Rosa sat on the other side of the bed looking equally tired, but Lucas was awake. His eyes were brighter this morning, though his face was still pale. When he saw Michael, he tried to sit up straighter. "Don't move," Michael said quickly. "Stay comfortable. I just came to check on you." "You really came back," Lucas said, sounding amazed. "I thought maybe I dreamed last night." "It wasn't a dream, I'm here, and I brought you some things." Michael set the bag down and pulled out the basketball. "I thought you might like this. It's nothing special, just a good ball for when you're feeling better." Lucas reached for it with both hands. The effort clearly cost him, but he managed to hold it. He spun it slowly, feeling the texture. "It's perfect," he whispered. "Thank you." "There's more," Michael said. He pulled out 3 books all about basketball but written for kids. Stories about players who overcame odds. "I thought you might like reading about other people's journeys." Lucas's eyes went wide. "These are amazing. Nobody ever gives me stuff like this." "Well, now someone has," Michael said. He pulled up a chair next to Alina. "How are you holding up?" "I'm okay," Alina said automatically. Then she caught herself. "Actually, no, I'm not okay, but I'm trying to be." "That's all any of us can do," Michael said. He looked at Lucas. "Your mom tells me you're the brave one in the family. Is that true?" Lucas shook his head. "She's way braver than me. She works all the time. She never complains. She always makes sure I have what I need, even when there's no money." His voice got quieter. "I know she skips meals sometimes so I can eat. She thinks I don't notice, but I do." Alina's face crumpled. Lucas, baby, you don't need to worry about things like that. Why not? I'm not a little kid anymore, Mama. I know what's happening. I know we don't have money for the surgery. I know you've been trying everything. Lucas's eyes filled with tears. I heard you crying in the bathroom last night. You think I can't hear, but these walls are thin. The room fell into heavy silence. Rosa wiped her eyes with a tissue. Elena stared at her hands, unable to speak. Michael felt his heart breaking for this family. They loved each other so much, but that love was wrapped up in fear and pain and impossible situations. Lucas, Michael said gently, can I tell you something important? The boy nodded. Yesterday, your mom gave me a letter your brother Diego wrote to me. Did you know about that letter? Lucas's face lit up. Yes, Mama told me. Diego wrote it the day he won your shoes. He was so excited. He said he had to tell you something important. Do you know what he wrote? No, Mama said it was private between you and him. Michael pulled the letter from his pocket. I'd like to read it to you, if that's okay with your mom. Elena looked surprised. Are you sure that letter was meant for you? I think Diego would want his little brother to hear it, Michael said. And I think you should hear it too, because it tells me a lot about who Diego was and who you are. He began reading. His voice was steady at first, but it got harder as he went. When he reached the part about Diego wanting to help his mother, Elena started crying quietly. When he read about Diego wanting to be someone who helped people, Rosa covered her mouth with her hand. By the time Michael finished, everyone in the room was crying. He wrote that when he was 8, Lucas asked. That's so grown up. Your brother was a special person, Michael said. He understood things that most adults never figure out. He knew that being great isn't about winning games or making money. It's about how you treat people, how you show up when someone needs help. He saved that little girl, Lucas said proudly. He died saving her. That's the most important thing anyone can do, give their life for someone else. It is, Michael agreed. But you know what else is important? Living, fighting, being here for the people who love you. Your brother was brave when he ran into that street. But you're brave too, Lucas. You're fighting every single day. That takes a different kind of courage. Lucas thought about this. Then he said something that stopped everyone cold. Mr. Jordan, if I die, will you make sure my mama is okay? She doesn't have anyone else except Aunt Rosa, and I don't want her to be alone. Lucas, don't talk like that, Elena said, her voice breaking. But Mama, we have to be realistic. That's what you always tell me. Face the truth, even when it's hard. Lucas looked at Michael with eyes too old for his young face. Promise me you'll check on her sometimes. Make sure she eats. Make sure she doesn't give up. Michael reached out and took Lucas's small hand in his own. I promise, but you know what? I don't think I'm going to need to keep that promise, because you're going to make it through this surgery. You're going to get better, and you're going to take care of your mama yourself. How do you know? Lucas asked. Because you're Diego's brother, and Diego never gave up. Neither will you. Lucas squeezed Michael's hand. His grip was weak, but it was there. Okay, I'll try my best. That's all anyone can ask, Michael said. Rosa stood up. Elena, I need to talk to you for a minute, outside. Elena hesitated. She didn't want to leave Lucas, but Rosa gave her a look that said it was important. Lucas, we'll be right outside the door. If you need anything, just call. I'll stay with him, Michael said. We'll be fine. The two sisters left the room. Michael could hear them talking in low voices in the hallway. He turned back to Lucas. Can I ask you something? Michael said. Sure, Lucas replied. Your mom told me you dream about Diego sometimes. What do you see? Lucas's face softened. I see him playing basketball. He's always happy in the dreams, always smiling. The court is made of clouds and the basketball is made of light. He does these amazing moves, dunks and three-pointers that he could never do when he was alive. Does he talk to you? Sometimes he tells me things. Like what? Lucas was quiet for a moment. Then he said, he told me not to be scared of dying. He said heaven is nice. There's no pain there, no sadness, just peace and light and love. Michael felt a chill run down his spine. When did he tell you that? Last night, during the surgery dreams. I was really scared and suddenly Diego was there. He said, "It's okay, little brother. If you need to come with me, it's okay. But if you want to stay, that's okay too. Either way, you're not alone." "What did you say?" "I told him I wanted to stay, for Mama. She's already lost too much. I can't leave her too." Lucas looked at Michael. "That's when I woke up, and Mama was holding my hand, and I knew I made the right choice." Michael had to look away for a moment. This conversation was almost too much. A 12-year-old talking about death and heaven like he was discussing the weather. But there was peace in Lucas's voice. Not resignation, but acceptance of whatever came next. "Lucas, I want you to know something," Michael said. "I didn't know your brother Diego when he was alive, but I feel like I know him now. And he would be so proud of you. The way you care about your mama, the way you're fighting. The way you're handling all of this with such grace." "You really think so?" "I know so. You're exactly the kind of little brother Diego would have wanted. Brave and kind and strong." Lucas smiled. It was the first real smile Michael had seen from him. "Thank you, Mr. Jordan. That means everything to me." The door opened. Elena and Rosa came back in. Elena's eyes were red, but there was something different in her expression. A tiny spark of something that might have been hope. "Lucas needs to rest now," Elena said. "The nurses will be coming soon to run some tests." Michael stood up. "Of course, I'll get out of your way." "Wait," Lucas said. He held out the basketball. "Will you sign this? So when I get better, I can practice with it and remember that Michael Jordan believed in me." Michael took the ball and pulled a marker from his pocket. He thought for a moment, then wrote, "To Lucas, you're already a champion. Keep fighting. Your teammate, MJ." He handed it back. Lucas hugged the ball to his chest like it was the most precious thing in the world. "I'll be back tomorrow," Michael said to Elena, "if that's okay." "You don't have to keep coming," Elena said softly. "You've already done so much." "I want to come," Michael said firmly. "Lucas and I are teammates now, and teammates show up for each other." As Michael walked toward the door, Rosa followed him out into the hallway. She closed the door behind them and looked at him with intense eyes. "Can I tell you something?" Rosa asked. "Something Elena is too proud to mention." "Of course." "That's Senator Richard Pierce, the man whose daughter Diego saved. He never helped us, not once. He came to the funeral with cameras and gave a beautiful speech. Then he disappeared. Elena tried to reach out to him once just to see if maybe he could help with Lucas's medical bills. His office sent back a form letter. A form letter, Mr. Jordan. Like Diego was just another charity case." Rosa's voice shook with anger. "My nephew died saving that man's child, gave his life, and Pierce couldn't even be bothered to write a personal response. He has millions of dollars. He could have set up a fund, could have done something, but he did nothing." "I know," Michael said quietly. "I'm going to talk to him today." Rosa's eyes widened. "You are?" "Yes, because Diego deserves better, and so does your family." "What are you going to say to him?" "I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out." Michael paused. "Can I ask you something? Elena seems like she's at the end of her rope. Is there anything else I should know? Anything that might help me understand the full situation?" Rosa hesitated. Then she said, "Elena is proud, too proud sometimes. She won't accept charity easily. When Diego died, people tried to help. They started a fund, raised about $15,000, but Elena returned every penny. She said she didn't want people's pity money." "Why would she do that?" "Because she was angry at God, at the world, at herself for not being there when Diego ran into that street. She felt like she didn't deserve help, like accepting it would mean admitting she couldn't take care of her own family." Rosa wiped her eyes. "But with Lucas, she can't afford pride. She's tried everything else. She's drowning, Mr. Jordan, and she won't ask for help because she doesn't think she deserves to be saved." Michael understood. Pride could be armor, but it could also be a prison. Elena had been hurt so much that she'd built walls around herself. Getting through those walls would take more than money. It would take dignity, respect, a reason to believe that accepting help didn't mean giving up. "Thank you for telling me," Michael said. "It helps me understand." "Please," Rosa said, tears streaming down her face. "Please help them. I can't lose Lucas too. And if Lucas dies, I think Elena will die with him. Not physically, but in every way that matters. She's already lost her husband and her oldest son. She can't survive losing Lucas too. I'm going to do everything I can, Michael promised, but I need you to do something for me. Anything. Don't tell Alina what I'm planning. Not yet. Let me work on some things first. Can you do that? Rosa nodded. Yes, I won't say anything. Michael left the hospital with Rosa's words echoing in his head. If Lucas dies, Alina will die with him. He couldn't let that happen. Diego had believed in heroes, had believed that one person could make a difference, had worn Michael's shoes and tried to live up to that ideal. Now it was Michael's turn to prove that heroes were real, that believing in them wasn't foolish, that sometimes when you needed help the most, help actually came. He got in his car and made a phone call. Stan, did you reach Senator Pierce's office? Yes, his lawyer replied. The senator will see you this afternoon at 2 o'clock. His office is very excited about the meeting. They think you want to do a publicity campaign with him. Good, let them think that. I'll be there at 2. Michael's next call was to Dr. Sarah Okoye, the cardiac surgeon who would perform Lucas's operation. He'd gotten her number from the hospital. She answered on the 3rd ring. Dr. Okoye, this is Michael Jordan. I'd like to talk to you about a patient named Lucas Cortez. There was a pause. Mr. Jordan, the Michael Jordan. Yes, ma'am. I know this is unusual, but I need to understand Lucas's situation. What are his chances if he gets the surgery? I can't discuss patient details without permission from the family, Dr. Okoye said carefully. I understand, but can you tell me generally, if a child has his condition and gets the surgery in time, what are the survival rates? Dr. Okoye was quiet for a moment. Then she said, with the surgery, about 85% survival rate, without it close to 0. The clock is ticking, Mr. Jordan. Every day that passes makes the surgery riskier. If I can get the funding secured, how fast can you operate? Within 24 hours, we have a slot reserved. We're just waiting for the financial clearance. You'll have it, Michael said. I'll make sure of it. After he hung up, Michael sat in the parking lot and thought about everything. About Diego's letter, about Lucas's bravery, about Alina's breaking heart, about a senator who had forgotten the boy who saved his daughter. Michael Jordan had built an empire on determination and refusing to accept defeat. He'd won games everyone said he'd lose. He'd overcome obstacles everyone said were too big. This was just another game, another challenge, another moment where giving up wasn't an option. And Michael Jordan never gave up. He started his car and headed towards Senator Pierce's office. It was time to remind a powerful man that some debts can never be repaid, but they should never be forgotten either. Diego Cortez had worn Michael's shoes and died a hero. Now Michael would wear Diego's courage and fight for the family he left behind. Before heading to Senator Pierce's office, Michael made one more stop. He needed to clear his head to think about what he was going to say. He drove to a small park near the hospital and sat on a bench overlooking a playground. Children played on the swings and slides. Their laughter filled the air. Parents watched from nearby benches, smiling at their kids' joy. It was such a normal scene, so peaceful. Michael wondered if Diego had ever played here, if Alina had brought him to this park when he was small. Michael pulled out Diego's letter again. He'd read it so many times now that he had it memorized. But holding the actual paper felt important. This was something Diego had touched, had created with his own hands. It was a piece of him that remained in the world. I'm going to make my mama proud. Diego had done that. Even in death, even 2 years later, that boy made his mother proud every single day. Alina carried his memory like a torch. She held onto his dreams. She tried to be the mother Diego believed she was, strong, capable, unbreakable. But everyone had a breaking point. Michael had seen it in Alina's eyes last night at the bus stop. She had reached hers. His phone rang. It was Stan, his lawyer. Michael, I have some information you need to know before you meet with Senator Pierce. Go ahead. I did some digging into the accident. There was a police report, witness statements, the whole thing. Diego definitely saved Amara Pierce's life. The driver who hit him wasn't speeding or drunk. It was just a terrible accident. The girl ran into traffic. Diego pushed her out of the way, and the car couldn't stop in time. What about the aftermath? Stan sighed. The driver was devastated. He tried to visit Diego in the hospital, but Alina refused. He paid for the funeral costs anonymously through a lawyer, but Senator Pierce. He showed up for exactly 1 hour at the funeral, cameras everywhere. He gave a 5-minute speech that his staff clearly wrote. Then he left. His office issued a statement calling Diego a tragic hero and moved on. Did he ever reach out to the family privately? Not that I can find. No letters, no calls, no financial assistance. His daughter is alive because of Diego, and Pierce did the bare minimum publicly and nothing privately. Michael felt anger rising in his chest. What kind of man does that? A politician, Stan said bitterly. Someone who saw it as a PR moment instead of a human tragedy. But here's something interesting. Pierce is up for re-election next year. His campaign team has been working hard to improve his image. He's been called cold and out of touch by voters. This could be a problem for him. Good, Michael said. Maybe it should be. Be careful, Michael. Pierce is powerful. He has connections. If you go in there confrontational, it could backfire. I'm not going to threaten him, Stan. I'm just going to remind him of something he's forgot. That Diego Cortez was a real person, not a news story. And that his family deserves better. After hanging up, Michael sat for a few more minutes. He watched a little girl, maybe 5 or 6, run across the playground. She had dark hair and bright eyes. She could have been Amara Pierce. She could have been any child. Diego had seen a child in danger and acted without thinking, without worrying about his own safety, without calculating the risks. He just saw someone who needed help and provided it. That was the kind of person Diego was, the kind of person he'd become by believing in heroes. By trying to live up to an ideal. Michael looked at his watch. 1:30, time to head to the senator's office. He drove downtown to a tall glass building with Senator Pierce's name on a plaque outside. The lobby was fancy, marble floors, expensive art on the walls, people in business suits hurrying around. Michael checked in with security, who immediately recognized him and made a fuss. Mr. Jordan, it's an honor, sir. The senator is expecting you. 10th floor. The elevator ride was smooth and quiet. Michael caught his reflection in the polished doors. He looked tired. The sleepless night showed on his face, but his eyes were determined, focused. This was important. The elevator doors opened to a reception area with plush carpet and more expensive art. A young woman at the desk smiled brightly. Mr. Jordan, welcome. Senator Pierce is so excited to meet you. Please follow me. She led him down a hallway lined with photos of Senator Pierce shaking hands with important people. Presidents, celebrities, business leaders. In every photo, Pierce wore the same practiced smile. The smile of a man who knew how to work a camera. Here we are, the receptionist said, opening a large wooden door. Senator, Mr. Jordan is here. The office was huge. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. A massive desk sat in the center. Behind it stood Senator Richard Pierce. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, with silver hair and a tan that looked too perfect to be natural. He wore an expensive suit and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. When he saw Michael, he came around the desk with his hand extended. Michael Jordan, this is incredible. I can't tell you what an honor this is. Pierce's handshake was firm, practiced. Please sit down. Can we get you anything? Coffee, water? No, thank you, Michael said, taking a seat in one of the leather chairs facing the desk. Pierce sat across from him, still smiling. I have to say, when my office told me you wanted to meet, I was thrilled. I'm a huge basketball fan. Watched you win all 6 championships. You're a legend, sir. An absolute legend. Thank you, Michael said flatly. So what brings you to my office? My team mentioned you wanted to discuss something important. Are you thinking about getting involved in politics? Because I'd love to have your support in the next election. Your endorsement would mean. I'm here to talk about Diego Cortez, Michael interrupted. Pierce's smile froze. I'm sorry, who? Diego Cortez. He was 10 years old. He saved your daughter's life 2 years ago. Understanding dawned on Pierce's face. The smile faded. Oh, yes, that was a terrible tragedy, absolutely terrible. Do you remember him? Michael asked, watching Pierce carefully. Of course I remember. That brave young boy who pushed Amara out of the way. We were devastated, just devastated. Devastated enough to help his family. Pierce's expression became guarded. I'm not sure I understand what you mean. Michael leaned forward. Diego's mother is Elena Cortez. She's a single mother who works as a hospital janitor. Diego's little brother, Lucas, is dying from a heart condition. He needs surgery that costs $180,000. Alina can't afford it. She's tried everything, borrowed from everyone. And in 6 days, if she doesn't have that money, her son will die. Pierce shifted uncomfortably in his chair. That's very sad, but I'm not sure what that has to do with me. Your daughter is alive because of Diego. Yes, and we were very grateful. We said so publicly. You gave one speech at his funeral, Michael said, his voice hard. Then you disappeared. No follow-up, no support for the family, nothing. Now wait just a minute, Pierce started. Did you know that Alina tried to reach out to your office? Michael continued. She sent a letter asking if there might be any way you could help with Lucas's medical bills. She wasn't demanding anything. She was just asking. And your office sent back a form letter to the mother of the boy who saved your daughter's life. Pierce's face flushed red. I receive hundreds of requests for help every month. I can't personally respond to all of them. My staff handles. Your staff, Michael repeated. Diego Cortez gave his life for your child, and you let your staff handle it with a form letter. The room fell silent. Pierce stood up and walked to the window, his back to Michael. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter, less politician, more human. What do you want me to say, Mr. Jordan? That I should have done more? Maybe you're right, maybe I should have, but that doesn't change what happened. The boy died. It was tragic, but I can't bring him back. No, you can't, Michael agreed. But you can help his family. You can make sure his little brother doesn't die too. You can honor Diego's memory by doing something that actually matters. Pierce turned around. If I help every family that experiences tragedy, I'd go broke. I already donate to numerous charities. I support. This isn't some random family, Michael cut him off. This is the family of the child who saved your daughter. That creates an obligation, a moral debt. I don't owe them anything, Pierce said sharply. Then he caught himself, realizing how that sounded. I mean, of course I'm grateful, but Diego chose to run into that street. Nobody asked him to, it was his choice. Michael stood up slowly. He was taller than Pierce. He used that height now, looking down at the senator with cold eyes. He was 10 years old. He saw a little girl in danger and acted without thinking about himself. That's not just bravery. That's the kind of goodness that most adults never achieve. And you're standing here telling me you don't owe his family anything. I didn't mean it like that, Pierce said, taking a step back. Look, I'm sorry about the boy, I really am. But I can't just hand out money every time something bad happens to someone. That's not how the world works. Then maybe the world needs to work differently, Michael said. Before Pierce could respond, the office door opened. A young girl walked in carrying a backpack. She had dark hair, big brown eyes, and a bright smile. Daddy, you said you'd help me with my homework She stopped when she saw Michael. Her eyes went wide. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you had someone here. This was Amara Pierce, the girl Diego had died to save. Pierce's expression softened immediately. It's okay, sweetheart. This is Mr. Michael Jordan. He's a very famous basketball player. Can you say hello? Hello, Amara said shyly. Then she looked at Michael more closely. Wait, you're the Michael Jordan, like the actual one. Michael smiled despite everything. Kids had a way of cutting through tension. Yes, the actual one. Wow, can I have your autograph? All my friends at school would be so jealous. Amara, Mr. Jordan is busy right now, Pierce said. Why don't you wait outside with? It's okay, Michael said. He pulled out the small notebook he always carried for autographs. What's your name? Amara, M-A-R-A. Michael wrote, to Amara, stay safe and be kind. M. He handed it to her. She looked at it with delight. Thank you, this is so cool. Michael knelt down so he was at her eye level. Amara, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you know about a boy named Diego Cortez? Amara's face changed. The smile faded a little. Yes, he's the boy who saved me. I was little, so I don't remember much. But Mommy told me about him. She said he was very brave. He was, Michael agreed. Do you ever think about him? Amara nodded seriously. Sometimes I have dreams about him. He's playing basketball in the clouds. He waves at me and smiles. Mommy says that's just my imagination, but it feels real. Michael felt chills run down his spine. Lucas had said almost the exact same thing, dreams of Diego playing basketball in the clouds. What else does Diego do in your dreams? Michael asked gently. He tells me to be good, to help people, to not waste the life he gave me. Amara looked down at her shoes. Sometimes I feel sad because I'm alive and he's not. That doesn't seem fair. Amara, that's enough, Pierce said uncomfortably. Mr. Jordan doesn't need to hear about your dreams. Actually, I do, Michael said, still looking at Amara. Your dreams sound very important. Do you think Diego is really watching over me? Amara asked. Or is that just something adults say to make kids feel better? Michael thought carefully before answering. I think Diego would want you to live your best life, to be happy, to be the kind of person who helps others just like he did. That's how you honor him. Amara's eyes filled with tears. I try, I really do, but I'm just a kid. I can't do big important things like he did. You don't have to do big things, Michael said. Small kindnesses matter too. Helping a friend, being nice to someone who's lonely, standing up for what's right. Those are all ways of being brave. Amara smiled a little. Okay, I'll keep trying. Good girl, Michael said, standing up. He looked at Pierce. You have a wonderful daughter, Senator. Thanks to Diego, she gets to grow up. She gets to become whoever she's meant to be. That's a gift beyond measure. Pierce's face had gone pale. He looked at his daughter like he was seeing her with new eyes, seeing how close he'd come to losing her, how easily she could have been the one who died that day. Amara, honey, go wait outside for a few minutes, Pierce said quietly. Daddy needs to finish talking with Mr. Jordan. Okay, bye, Mr. Jordan. Thanks for the autograph. After she left, Pierce sank into his chair. He looked older suddenly, tired. She dreams about him, I didn't know that. Kids remember more than we think, Michael said. Pierce was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, you're right, I should have done more. I know that, I knew it at the time, but I didn't want to face it. Didn't want to think about how close we came to losing Amara, so I pushed it away, moved on, pretended it was just another news story. But it wasn't, Michael said. No, it wasn't. Pierce looked up at Michael. What do you want me to do? I want you to help save Lucas Cortez, Diego's little brother, the boy who's dying because his mother can't afford his surgery. You want me to pay for the surgery. I want you to be part of the solution, to actually honor Diego's memory instead of just talking about it. Michael paused. I'm going to pay for Lucas's surgery, but I want to do more. I want to create something lasting. A cardiac wing at Charlotte Medical Center named after Diego, a scholarship fund for children of single parents who have lost family members while performing acts of heroism. Real, meaningful change. Pierce stared at him. That would cost millions. Yes, and I'm asking you to partner with me, co-fund it. Use your position and influence to make it happen. Show your daughter, show the world, that Diego's death meant something, that his bravery created something good. And if I say no? Michael's expression hardened. Then I'll do it myself, but I'll make sure everyone knows that the senator whose daughter was saved by Diego Cortez chose to do nothing to help Diego's family. I'll make sure voters know what kind of man you really are. Pierce flinched. That's blackmail. No, that's the truth. You can either be part of the solution or part of the problem, but either way, I'm going to help this family. Pierce walked to the window again. He stood there for several minutes saying nothing. Michael waited. He knew better than to interrupt someone who was wrestling with their conscience. Finally, Pierce spoke. When Amara was born, I made a promise. I promised I would always protect her, always keep her safe. And then one day, a stranger, a child I'd never met, kept that promise for me. He gave his life to protect my daughter, and I thanked him publicly and moved on. He turned to face Michael. What does that make me? Human, Michael said. We all make mistakes. We all fail to live up to our best selves sometimes. What matters is what you do next. Pierce nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do it. I'll partner with you on the cardiac wing and the scholarship fund. And I'll personally apologize to Mrs. Cortez. No cameras, no press, just human to human. Thank you, Michael said. But I have one condition, Pierce added. When you announce this, I don't want any credit. Put my name on it if you have to, but I don't want a press conference. I don't want people thinking I'm doing this for political reasons. This should be about Diego, not me." Michael respected that. Maybe there was more to Richard Pierce than the polished politician's surface. Maybe underneath there was a decent man who'd lost his way. "Agreed," Michael said. They shook hands. This time Pierce's grip was different, less practiced, more genuine. "Can I ask you something?" Pierce said. "Why are you doing this? You didn't know Diego. You don't owe this family anything. Why do you care so much?" Michael pulled out Diego's letter one more time. He handed it to Pierce. "Read this, then you'll understand." Pierce read the letter slowly. Michael watched emotions cross the senator's face: surprise, sadness, shame, and finally, something that looked like understanding. "He was 8 years old when he wrote this," Pierce whispered. "Just a little kid with big dreams." "Yes, and 2 years later he died being exactly the kind of person he wanted to be. Someone who helped others, someone who made a difference." Pierce handed the letter back with shaking hands. "I have a son about that age. I can't imagine." His voice broke. "Then help me make sure Diego's sacrifice wasn't for nothing," Michael said. "Help me save his brother. Help me create something that will help other families in crisis. Be the man Diego believed people could be." Pierce nodded, wiping his eyes. "I'll call my lawyers today. We'll set up the partnership immediately. And I'll visit Mrs. Cortez tomorrow. I owe her that apology. I've owed it for 2 years." "Bring Amara with you," Michael suggested. "I think she needs to meet Diego's family too. She needs to see that her life was bought with a price. Not so she feels guilty, but so she understands how precious her life is." "You're right," Pierce said. "I will." Michael left the senator's office feeling like he just played the most important game of his life. Not on a basketball court, but in a political office. Not for a trophy, but for a family that deserved justice. As he walked to his car, his phone rang. It was Rosa. "Mr. Jordan," her voice was panicked. "You need to come to the hospital right away. Lucas collapsed. They're rushing him into emergency surgery. They can't wait anymore. Elena is falling apart. Please, we need you." Michael's blood ran cold. "I'm on my way, 10 minutes." He ran to his car and drove faster than he should have. His mind raced. He'd been so focused on the long-term plan, the cardiac wing, the scholarship, the justice for Diego, that he'd almost forgotten the most urgent need. Lucas was dying, right now. And all the plans in the world wouldn't matter if Michael didn't get there in time. He pressed the accelerator harder, praying he wasn't too late. Michael burst through the hospital doors at 3:45 p.m. His heart pounded as he ran through the lobby, ignoring the startled looks from people who recognized him. None of that mattered now. Only Lucas mattered. He took the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator. 4th floor. His legs burned, but he didn't slow down. When he reached the pediatric cardiac unit, he saw Rosa pacing in the hallway outside Lucas's room. Her face was streaked with tears. "Rosa, what happened?" Michael called out. She turned, relief flooding her features. "Michael, thank God. They took him about 20 minutes ago. He collapsed. His heart couldn't take it anymore. Dr. Acoy said they couldn't wait even one more day." "Where's Elena?" "In there." Rosa pointed to a small waiting room. She's not doing well. She thinks this is it. She thinks she's going to lose another son." Michael walked quickly to the waiting room. Elena sat in a plastic chair, bent over with her face in her hands. Her whole body shook with silent sobs. The sound of her grief filled the small space. "Elena," Michael said softly. She looked up. Her eyes were red and swollen. Her face was pale. She looked like a woman who had reached the absolute end of everything she had. "He's going to die," she whispered. "Just like Diego. I'm going to lose him too." Michael sat down beside her. "Lucas is strong. Dr. Acoy is the best. He has a chance. I couldn't save Diego. I couldn't save my husband. Now I can't save Lucas either." Elena's voice broke. "What kind of mother am I? What kind of mother can't protect her own children?" "The surgery is happening right now," Michael said. "That means there's still hope." "Hope?" Elena laughed bitterly. "I don't even know what that word means anymore. Every time I hope for something, it gets taken away. Every time I believe things might get better, they get worse. Maybe I'm not meant to be happy. Maybe God is punishing me for something." "God isn't punishing you," Michael said firmly. "Bad things happen sometimes. That doesn't mean you deserve them." Alina looked at him with hollow eyes. Then why? Why did Marco have to die? Why did Diego have to die? Why is Lucas dying? Tell me, Mr. Jordan, you're successful. You've had everything go right in your life. Tell me why some people get everything and other people lose everything. Michael was quiet for a moment. He thought about his own life, the failures people didn't see, the losses he'd experienced, his father's death, the struggles he'd faced that never made the news. I don't have all the answers, Michael admitted. But I know this: you haven't lost everything yet. Lucas is still fighting. Right now in that operating room, he's fighting for his life. And we have to fight with him. We can't give up. I'm so tired of fighting, Alina whispered. I've been fighting for so long. I don't think I have anything left. Rosa came in and sat on Alina's other side. She took her sister's hand. You're not alone in this fight. We're all here. Me, Michael, the doctors, we're all fighting for Lucas. Lena leaned against her sister. They sat like that for a long time, not speaking, just being together in their fear and grief. Michael's phone buzzed. A text from Stan: partnership agreement with Senator Pierce being drawn up. Should be ready for signature by tomorrow morning. He's serious about this. Good. That was one piece falling into place. But it wouldn't matter if Lucas didn't survive the surgery. Dr. Sarah Okoye appeared in the doorway. She was still in her scrubs, but not her surgical gear. It was too soon. The surgery should take hours. Michael's stomach dropped. Alina jumped up. What happened? Is he? Lucas is still in surgery, Dr. Okoye said quickly. I just wanted to give you an update. We've started the procedure. His heart is very weak, but we're doing everything we can. How long will it take? Rosa asked. 6 to 8 hours probably. It's a complicated repair. But Mrs. Cortez, I need you to know something. Dr. Okoye looked directly at Alina. Your son is a fighter. His vitals were crashing, but the moment we got him on the table, it's like he decided he wasn't ready to go. He's fighting with everything he has. Alina's hand went to her mouth. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. He's always been strong, even when he was a baby, always fighting. Keep that faith, Dr. Okoye said. I'll come back with updates every couple of hours, but right now the best thing you can do is rest. Eat something. Take care of yourself. Lucas is going to need you strong when he wakes up. When? Alina caught the word. Not if. Dr. Okoye smiled slightly. I don't make promises I can't keep, but I believe in possibilities, and Lucas has as good a possibility as anyone I've ever operated on. After the doctor left, Michael stood up. I'm going to get us some food. Real food, not hospital cafeteria food. You need to eat, Alina. Rosa, you too. I can't eat, Alina protested. My stomach. You have to try, Michael insisted. For Lucas, he's fighting in there. You need strength to fight out here. Michael left the hospital and drove to a nearby restaurant. He ordered soup, sandwiches, fruit, things that were easy to eat even when you didn't feel like eating. While he waited for the food, he made phone calls. First, he called his financial advisor. Tom, I need you to wire $180,000 to Charlotte Medical Center immediately. Patient name Lucas Cortez. I'll send you the account details. This needs to happen in the next hour. That's a lot of money on short notice, Michael. Can I ask what this is for? A child's life. That's all you need to know. Consider it done. Next, Michael called Coach Williams at the rec center. Coach, it's Michael Jordan. Lucas is in surgery right now. It's not looking good. I thought you should know. Coach Williams's voice shook. Oh Lord, that poor family. Is there anything I can do? Pray, Michael said. If you believe in that sort of thing, pray. I do believe, and I will. That boy deserves a chance. Michael's third call was to Senator Pierce. Senator, I need a favor. Can you expedite the financial paperwork? I want the partnership officially in place by tomorrow. I want Alina to know that when Lucas wakes up, his future is secure. I'll have my lawyers work through the night if necessary, Pierce promised. And Michael, Amara has been asking about Diego all afternoon. She wants to make him a drawing to give to his family. That would mean a lot to them, Michael said. When Michael returned to the hospital with the food, he found Alina and Rosa sitting in silence. The waiting room felt heavy with tension. How many families had sat in this exact spot, waiting for news that would either save them or destroy them? Eat, Michael said, unpacking the food. Even just a little. Alina picked at a sandwich. Rosa ate some soup. Michael wasn't hungry either, but he forced himself to eat. They needed to model strength even when they felt weak. Hours passed. 5:00 p.m. became 6:00 p.m., then 7:00 p.m. Still no word from the operating room. Michael used the time to tell Alina about his meeting with Senator Pierce, about the partnership, about the cardiac wing that would be named after Diego, about the scholarship fund. Alina listened, but her reactions were muted. She was too worried about Lucas to fully process what Michael was telling her. "That's nice," she said quietly. "Diego would have liked that. He always wanted to help people." "He did help people," Michael said. "He saved Amara, and now, because of him, hundreds of other kids will get help too. His legacy is going to live on." "Legacy?" Alina repeated. "That's what you have when you're gone. I don't want Diego to have a legacy. I want him back. I want him to be 10 years old again, wearing those ridiculous oversized shoes, practicing basketball in our driveway." "I know," Michael said softly. At 8:00 p.m., Dr. Okoye came back. She looked tired but not defeated. "The surgery is going well. We're about halfway through. Lucas's heart is responding better than we expected. He's stable." Alina stood up so fast she almost fell. Rosa caught her. "He's going to make it." "I can't promise anything yet," Dr. Okoye cautioned. "But right now things are looking hopeful. His heart is accepting the repairs. That's a very good sign." After the doctor left, Alina finally broke down completely. She sobbed in Rosa's arms, not tears of despair this time, but tears of desperate hope. The kind of crying that comes when you've been holding your breath for so long that finally exhaling hurts. "He might make it," Alina kept saying. "He might actually make it." Michael stepped out into the hallway to give the sisters privacy. He walked to a window at the end of the corridor and looked out over the city. Lights were coming on as darkness fell. Somewhere down there, people were living normal lives, going home from work, making dinner, watching TV. They had no idea that in this hospital, a 12-year-old boy was fighting for his life. His phone rang. It was Stan again. "Michael, the money transfer went through. The hospital confirmed receipt. Lucas's surgery is fully funded." "Good. What about the partnership with Pierce?" "He's moving faster than I've ever seen a politician move. The lawyers are finalizing everything tonight. We should have a signed agreement by morning. He's committed to matching your contribution dollar for dollar. We're talking about a $5 million cardiac wing and a $2 million endowment for the scholarship fund." Michael whistled. "That's more than I expected." "I think meeting you shook him up, made him realize what he should have done 2 years ago." Stan paused. "You're doing a good thing here, Michael. A really good thing." After hanging up, Michael stood at the window for a long time. He thought about the chain of events that had led him here. The rainy night, the crying woman at the bus stop, Diego's letter, Lucas's bravery, all of it connected in ways that felt almost impossible. What were the chances that Michael would drive down that exact street at that exact moment? That he would see Alina and decide to stop? That he would learn about Diego and feel compelled to help? Some people would call it coincidence. Others would call it fate. Michael didn't know what to call it. He just knew that he'd been given an opportunity to make a difference, and he couldn't walk away from it. He thought about Diego's letter again, about the 8-year-old boy who believed in heroes, who believed that one person could change the world. Maybe Diego had been right all along. Maybe heroes weren't perfect people who never failed. Maybe they were just ordinary people who showed up when it mattered, who refused to look away from suffering, who used whatever power they had to help. If that was true, then Diego had been a hero, and now Michael had a chance to be one too. He walked back to the waiting room. Alina and Rosa were talking quietly. Alina looked up when Michael entered. "Thank you," she said, "for everything, for stopping that night, for coming to the hospital, for caring about strangers. You didn't have to do any of this." "Yes, I did," Michael said. "Diego made sure of that. He wrote me that letter believing I was someone worth believing in. Now I have to prove he was right." At 10:30 p.m., Dr. Okoye returned. This time she was smiling. "The surgery is complete. Lucas did beautifully. We repaired the defect successfully. He's being moved to the ICU now. The next 48 hours are critical, but he came through the surgery better than I could have hoped." Alina collapsed into Rosa's arms, sobbing with relief. Rosa cried too. Michael felt his own eyes burning with tears. "When can I see him?" Alina asked. "He'll be unconscious for several hours, but you can sit with him once he's settled in the ICU. I'll have a nurse come get you in about 30 minutes. After Dr. Okoye left, Alina turned to Michael. "He made it. Lucas made it through the surgery." "He's a fighter," Michael said, "just like his brother." "Mr. Jordan," Alina said, her voice suddenly firm, "I need to tell you something. I need to apologize." "For what?" "For my pride, for being too stubborn to accept help. Rosa told me you've been working behind the scenes, making calls, setting things up, and I was so wrapped up in my own suffering that I didn't see it, didn't appreciate it." "You don't need to apologize." "Yes, I do." Alina looked him in the eyes. "I've been angry at the world for so long, angry at God, angry at fate, angry at everyone who seemed to have it easier than me. But you stopped your car for a crying stranger. You didn't have to do that. You could have driven past, but you didn't." She wiped her eyes. "Diego believed in you. He believed you were someone special, and he was right. You are, not because you're famous or rich or talented, but because you saw someone who needed help and you helped. That's what real heroes do." Michael didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to feeling this emotional. Basketball was something he could control, something he understood. But this, helping this family, navigating their pain, trying to honor a dead boy's memory, this was harder than any game he'd ever played. "Lucas isn't out of danger yet," Dr. Okoye had said. The next 48 hours were critical. Michael made a decision. "I'm staying here at the hospital until we know Lucas is going to be okay." "You don't have to do that," Alina protested. "Yes, I do. Lucas said it himself, we're teammates, and teammates don't leave each other." Rosa smiled through her tears. "You really are just like Diego thought you were." They waited together for the nurse to call them. Michael checked his phone and saw messages from friends, from his business team, from people wondering where he was. He ignored them all. Nothing else mattered right now except this family and this moment. Finally, a nurse appeared. "Mrs. Cortez, you can see Lucas now, but please remember he's still unconscious. He won't respond, but you can talk to him. Many patients can hear even when they're under." Alina stood up on shaky legs. "Can my sister come with me?" "Of course," and the nurse looked at Michael. "Are you family too?" "Yes," Alina said before Michael could answer. "He's family." They walked together to the ICU. Lucas lay in a bed surrounded by machines that beeped and hummed. Tubes ran into his arms. A breathing tube helped his lungs. He looked so small, so fragile, but his chest rose and fell steadily. He was alive. Alina sat beside the bed and took Lucas's hand. "Baby, it's Mama. You did so good. The surgery is over. You're going to be okay. You just need to rest now." She talked to him softly, telling him about his brother, about how proud Diego would be, about how much she loved him. Rosa stood on the other side of the bed, gently touching Lucas's foot. Michael stood back, giving them space, but he stayed close enough to hear, to witness, to be present in this moment of fragile hope. Alina looked back at Michael. "He can't hear us, can he?" "Dr. Okoye said he might be able to," Michael replied. "Then I want him to hear this." Alina turned back to Lucas. "Baby, Michael Jordan is here, the real one. He came to the hospital for you. He's been here all day, waiting with us. And he says you're teammates. So when you wake up, you're going to have the best teammate anyone could ask for." Michael felt his throat tighten. He'd had many teammates over the years, Hall of Famers, All-Stars, champions, but being called Lucas's teammate felt more important than any of that. "Rest now, baby," Alina whispered. "Fight to come back to us. We're all waiting for you." The hours stretched on. Midnight came. Then 1:00 a.m. The hospital grew quieter. Rosa dozed in a chair. Alina never left Lucas's side, holding his hand like she could transfer her strength to him through touch alone. Michael sat in another chair, fighting exhaustion. Every time he started to drift off, he'd jerk awake. He couldn't sleep. Not until he knew Lucas would be okay. At 2:30 a.m., something changed. Lucas's fingers twitched. Alina gasped. "Did you see that?" His hand moved. A nurse came in to check. "That's normal. Patients start to regain consciousness gradually. It'll be several more hours before he's fully awake." But it was a sign, a good sign. Lucas was still fighting. As dawn approached, Michael made more calls. He contacted his team and told them to clear his schedule for the next week. Everything could wait. Business deals, meetings, appearances, none of it mattered compared to being here. He called Coach Williams with an update. The old coach cried with relief. That boy is tougher than his brother, and Diego was the toughest kid I ever met. At 6:00 a.m., Dr. Okoye came in for morning rounds. She checked Lucas's vitals and smiled. Everything looks good, better than good actually. His heart is functioning well. No signs of rejection or complications. If he continues like this, we can start reducing sedation later today. Alina's face transformed. He's really going to make it. I won't say he's out of the woods until he's awake and stable, but right now, I'm very optimistic. After the doctor left, Alina finally let herself relax slightly. She leaned back in her chair, still holding Lucas's hand. 2 years, she said quietly. For 2 years I've been waiting for the next terrible thing to happen, expecting tragedy, bracing for loss, and maybe this time things will be different. They will be, Michael said. Lucas is going to wake up, he's going to recover, and when he does, he's going to have a future, a real future. Rosa stirred awake. What did I miss? Good news, Alina said. Lucas is doing well, the doctor is optimistic. Rosa stood and hugged her sister. They held each other, crying and laughing at the same time. The kind of emotional release that comes when hope starts to feel real instead of dangerous. Michael's phone buzzed. A text from Senator Pierce. Partnership agreement signed. Wire transfer initiated. Charlotte Medical Center will be receiving $25 million for the Diego Cortez cardiac wing. Another $1 million for the scholarship fund. Amara and I will visit this afternoon if that's okay. Michael showed the message to Alina. She read it slowly, then looked up at him with wonder. This is real. This is actually happening. It's real. Diego's name is going to help save other children. His sacrifice is going to mean something lasting. Alina started crying again, but these were different tears, healing tears, tears that washed away some of the bitterness and pain she'd been carrying for so long. Diego would be so happy, she whispered. He always wanted to help people, even when he was little, and now, even after death, he's still helping. Michael thought about Diego's letter, about the 8-year-old boy who wanted to make his mama proud, who wanted to be someone who made a difference. Mission accomplished, Diego. Mission accomplished. At 2:00 p.m. that afternoon, Michael stood in the hospital lobby waiting for Senator Pierce and Amara. Lucas was still sleeping, but his vitals remained strong. Dr. Okoye had said they would start reducing his sedation in a few hours. Everything was moving in the right direction. Alina had finally agreed to take a short nap in a family rest room. Rosa promised to wake her the moment anything changed. Michael had convinced her that she needed rest, real rest, if she was going to be strong for Lucas when he woke up. The hospital's automatic doors slid open. Senator Pierce walked in, dressed casually in jeans and a button-down shirt. No suit, no tie. He looked like a regular father, not a politician. Beside him, Amara held his hand. She carried a large envelope. Mr. Jordan, Pierce said, extending his hand. Thank you for meeting us. Senator Amara. Michael knelt down to Amara's level. What do you have there? I made something, Amara said shyly. For Diego's family. Daddy said you'd help me give it to them. I will, but first I need you both to understand something. Michael looked at Pierce. Alina, Mrs. Cortez, has been through more pain than most people experience in a lifetime. She lost her husband. She lost Diego. She almost lost Lucas. She's fragile right now, even though she's trying to be strong. I understand, Pierce said. I'm not here as a senator. I'm here as the father of the daughter Diego saved. I should have come 2 years ago. Better late than never, Michael said. Follow me. They took the elevator to the 4th floor. In the hallway outside the ICU, Michael stopped them. Wait here a moment. Let me prepare Alina. He found Rosa sitting outside Lucas's room. How is he? Still sleeping peacefully. Alina finally closed her eyes about 20 minutes ago. Rosa looked past Michael and saw Pierce and Amara. Her expression hardened. What is he doing here? He came to apologize. To really apologize, not with cameras and speeches. Can you get Alina? I think she needs to hear what he has to say. Rosa hesitated. I don't know if she can handle this right now. She's barely holding it together as it is. I think she needs this. Michael said gently. She needs closure. She needs to know that Diego's sacrifice was acknowledged by the people who benefited from it. Rosa sighed. Okay, but if he says one wrong thing, I'm throwing him out myself. She went to get Alina. A few minutes later, Alina emerged looking exhausted. Her eyes were red-rimmed and puffy. When she saw Senator Pierce, her whole body went rigid. What is he doing here? Her voice was cold. Pierce stepped forward slowly like he was approaching something fragile. Mrs. Cortez, I came to apologize. I know I'm 2 years too late. I know I should have done this a long time ago. But I'm here now and I need you to hear me. Hear you? Alina's voice rose. I tried to reach you. I sent letters. I called your office. And you sent back a form letter. A form letter, Senator. My son died saving your daughter and you couldn't even write a personal response. Pierce's face crumpled with shame. You're right. You're absolutely right. There's no excuse for what I did or what I didn't do. Do you have any idea what the last 2 years have been like? Alina's words came faster now, all the anger she'd been holding finally pouring out. I buried my son. I went to his funeral and listened to you give a beautiful speech about his bravery. And then you left. You left us with nothing but flowers and sympathy cards. I know. You don't know, Alina shouted. You don't know what it's like to work 2 jobs and still not have enough money to pay the bills. You don't know what it's like to watch another child get sick and realize you can't afford to save him. You don't know what it's like to feel completely alone in the world. Tears streamed down her face. Rosa moved closer, ready to support her sister if she fell. Pierce's own eyes filled with tears. You're right, I don't know. I live in a world where money solves problems, where my connections can fix things. I've never had to struggle the way you have. And when Diego died, I didn't know how to face it, didn't know how to face you, so I did the coward's thing. I avoided it, avoided you, avoided thinking about how close I came to losing Amara. He wiped his eyes. But Michael came to my office yesterday and reminded me of something I'd forgotten. He reminded me that your son gave his life for my daughter. That's a debt I can never repay. But I can try. I can do better. I can be the man Diego deserved to be thanked by. Alina was shaking. Rosa held her arm, steadying her. I'm sorry, Pierce said, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry for not being there, for not helping, for treating your family like just another charity case. You deserved better. Diego deserved better, and I failed you both. The hallway fell silent except for the distant beeping of hospital machines and the soft hum of the ventilation system. Sorry doesn't bring him back, Alina finally said. Sorry doesn't erase 2 years of struggling alone. No, it doesn't, Pierce agreed. But maybe this will help. He pulled out a folder from his jacket. Michael and I have established a partnership. We're creating the Diego Cortez Cardiac Wing here at Charlotte Medical Center. $5 million to help other children like Lucas, children whose families can't afford the care they need. Alina stared at the folder like it might bite her. Pierce continued, we're also creating a scholarship fund, the Diego Cortez Memorial Scholarship, for children who have lost parents or siblings while performing acts of heroism. $1 million to start, with more added every year. Diego's name, Alina whispered. Your son will be remembered, Pierce said. Every child who gets help from that cardiac wing will know Diego's name. Every student who receives a scholarship will learn about his bravery. His legacy will live on. Alina covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook with sobs. Amara, who had been standing quietly beside her father, stepped forward. Mrs. Cortez. Alina looked down at the little girl. Amara held out the envelope. I made this for you, for Diego. I wanted to say thank you. With trembling hands, Alina took the envelope. She opened it slowly and pulled out a large piece of construction paper. On it, Amara had drawn a picture in crayon. The drawing showed 2 figures. One was a boy with a basketball, wearing what looked like oversized shoes. Above his head was a halo and wings. The other figure was a little girl, clearly Amara, holding the angel's hand. Around them were clouds and stars and hearts. At the bottom, in careful child's handwriting, were the words, Thank you, Diego, for saving me. I will be good for you. Love, Amara. Alina stared at the drawing. Fresh tears fell onto the paper. You made this for Diego. Amara nodded. I dream about him sometimes. He plays basketball in the clouds. He's always smiling. And he tells me to be good, to help people, to not waste the life he gave me. Alina sank to her knees so she was eye level with Amara. You dream about him. Yes, do you think that's weird? No, baby, that's not weird at all. Alina looked at the drawing again. This is beautiful, the most beautiful thing anyone has ever given me. Really? Amara's face lit up. I worked really hard on it. I wanted to get his shoes right because Daddy said he loved his basketball shoes. He did, Alina said, smiling through her tears. He loved them so much, he wore them everywhere. Amara reached out and hugged Alina. The gesture was spontaneous and pure, the kind of hug only a child can give. Alina wrapped her arms around the little girl and held her tight. Thank you, Alina whispered. Thank you for remembering him. Thank you for being alive. When they separated, Amara said, Can I tell you something? Something I've never told anyone except my mommy and daddy. Of course. Sometimes I feel bad that I'm alive and Diego isn't. It doesn't seem fair. I was just playing. I wasn't looking where I was going, and he died because of me. Alina's expression softened. She cupped Amara's face in her hands. Listen to me very carefully, sweet girl. What happened to Diego was not your fault. You were 5 years old. You were just being a child. Diego chose to save you. He chose it because that's the kind of person he was, someone who helped others. But what if? No what ifs, Alina said firmly but kindly. Diego would want you to live your best life, to be happy, to grow up and do wonderful things. That's how you honor him, not by feeling guilty but by living well. Amara threw her arms around Alina again. I promise I'll try. I promise I'll be good. Michael watched this exchange with a lump in his throat. This was what healing looked like. Not perfect, not easy, but real. Pierce wiped his eyes. Mrs. Cortez, I know I can never make up for the last 2 years, but I want to try. If there's anything you need, anything at all, please let me help. No publicity, no cameras, just human to human. Alina stood up slowly. She looked at Pierce for a long moment. Michael could see the internal struggle on her face. Part of her wanted to stay angry, to hold on to the bitterness that had sustained her through so much pain, but another part, maybe the part that Diego would have wanted, was ready to let go. Okay, she finally said. Okay, I accept your apology, not because you deserve it, but because I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of carrying this weight. Diego wouldn't want me to live like this. Pierce's relief was visible. Thank you so much. But I want something from you, Alina continued. More than money, more than scholarships and hospital wings. Anything. I want you to remember Diego, not as a news story, not as a political moment, but as a real person. A real boy who loved basketball and his family and had dreams for his future. Can you do that? Yes, Pierce said without hesitation. I promise. I will remember him. We both will. He looked at Amara, who nodded seriously. Rosa, who had been watching everything with crossed arms, finally spoke up. Senator, that's a nice speech, but words are easy. Actions are hard. What are you going to do to make sure other families don't end up like ours? What are you going to do to make sure kids like Diego get recognized and supported when they do brave things? Pierce thought for a moment. I'm going to introduce legislation, a bill that provides federal support for families of young heroes, financial assistance, counseling services, educational support. I'll call it Diego's Law. Diego's Law, Alina repeated softly. He'd like that. Will you help me? Pierce asked. Will you work with me to make this happen? Your story, your family's story, it needs to be heard. It can help change things for others. Alina looked uncertain. I don't know if I can do that. I'm not good at public speaking. I'm just a hospital janitor. You're not just anything, Michael said. You're Diego's mother, you're Lucas's mother, you're a survivor, and your voice matters. He's right, Rosa added. Your story could help other families. Diego would want that. Alina looked at Amara's drawing again, at the angel boy with the basketball, at the little girl he'd saved. Okay, I'll help, but only if it actually makes a difference. I won't do it just for show. It will make a difference, Pierce promised. I give you my word. A nurse approached the group. Mrs. Cortez, Lucas is starting to wake up. Dr. Acoy thinks you should be there when he opens his eyes. Alina's entire demeanor changed. He's waking up. He's really waking up. Yes, come quickly. Alina hurried toward the ICU. Rosa followed. Michael, Pierce, and Amara stayed in the hallway. Can we see him? Amara asked. I want to meet Diego's brother. Michael looked at Pierce. Maybe later. Let his mother have this moment first. This is important for their family. They watched through the ICU window as Alina entered Lucas's room. They couldn't hear what was being said, but they could see Alina lean over the bed, talking softly. Lucas's eyes were still closed, but his head turned slightly toward his mother's voice. That could have been Amara in that bed, Pierce said quietly. If Diego hadn't acted when he did, my daughter could have been the one fighting for her life. But she wasn't, Michael said, because a 10-year-old boy made a split-second decision to be brave, to put someone else first. How do you teach a child to be like that? Pierce wondered. How do you raise someone who thinks of others before themselves? I don't think you teach it, Michael said. I think some people just have it in them, and Diego had it. Inside the room, Lucas's eyes fluttered open. Alina gasped and grabbed his hand. Even from the hallway, Michael could see the joy on her face, the pure relief of seeing her son wake up. Lucas looked around, confused and groggy. His eyes found his mother. His lips moved, saying something they couldn't hear. Alina laughed and cried at the same time. She kissed Lucas's forehead over and over. That's what I took away from them, Pierce said, his voice heavy with emotion. That moment right there, that joy. If Diego had died and my daughter lived, Alina and Rosa could be standing here watching me celebrate. Instead, they're the ones who get this moment, and I'm the one who has to live knowing what it cost. Then live in a way that honors it, Michael said. Make Diego's sacrifice count. Help other families. Change the system. Be better. Pierce nodded. I will, I promise I will. Inside the ICU, Rosa had joined Alina at Lucas's bedside. The boy was more alert now, looking at his mother and aunt with confusion but also love. Dr. Akoy came in to check his vitals, smiling at the family's reunion. Amara tugged on her father's sleeve. Daddy, can we help them? Like really help them? Not just with money, but with everything. What do you mean, sweetheart? Like maybe Lucas needs a friend when he gets better, someone his age to talk to. And maybe Mrs. Cortez needs people who care about her. Can we be that for them? Pierce looked at his daughter with surprise and pride. You want to be friends with them, even though it might be hard, even though it might remind you of scary things. Diego gave his life for me, Amara said simply. The least I can do is be nice to his family. Michael smiled. This 7-year-old girl understood something many adults never figured out. That gratitude wasn't just words, it was action, it was showing up, it was caring even when it was uncomfortable. I think that's a wonderful idea, Pierce said, hugging his daughter. We'll talk to Mrs. Cortez about it when the time is right. Dr. Akoy emerged from Lucas's room still smiling. He's doing remarkably well. He's alert, his vitals are strong, and he's already asking for food. That's always a good sign. Can we see him? Michael asked, just for a moment. Let me check with Mrs. Cortez. The doctor went back inside. A moment later, she gestured for them to come in. Lucas was propped up slightly in bed, still connected to monitors but looking much more alive than before. His eyes were bright despite the exhaustion on his face. When he saw Michael, he smiled weakly. You came back, Lucas said, his voice raspy from the breathing tube. Of course I did, Michael said. I told you we're teammates. Teammates don't abandon each other. Lucas's eyes shifted to Pierce and Amara. Who are they? Alina took a deep breath. Lucas, this is Senator Pierce and his daughter Amara. She's the little girl Diego saved. Lucas stared at Amara with wide eyes. You're the girl, the one my brother saved. Amara stepped closer to the bed, suddenly shy. Yes, I'm sorry about your brother. He was very brave. He was the bravest, Lucas agreed. He was my hero even though I never met him. He's my hero too, Amara said. She held out the drawing she'd made. I made this for him, for your family, to say thank you. Lucas looked at the picture, his eyes filled with tears. That's Diego, playing basketball in heaven. Yes, I dream about him sometimes. He's always happy there. Me too, Lucas said excitedly, then winced at the effort. I dream about him too. He told me to keep fighting. He said you needed to see that he didn't die for nothing." Amara's hand went to her mouth. "He said that in your dream." Lucas nodded. "He watches over both of us. I think he's glad we're both okay." The two children looked at each other, connected by the boy who had brought them together through his sacrifice. One lived because of him, the other survived because of him, and now they shared something that no one else could understand. "Can we be friends?" Amara asked. "When you get better, I mean. My daddy says you're going to need time to recover, but maybe when you're stronger we could hang out sometimes." Lucas looked at his mother. Elena nodded, tears in her eyes. "I'd like that," Lucas said. "Diego would like that too. He always said his basketball shoes connected people. I think he connected us." Michael felt overwhelmed by the beauty of this moment. 2 years ago, Diego had made a choice in a split second. He'd run into traffic without thinking about himself, without knowing if he'd survive. He'd simply seen someone who needed help and helped them, and now, because of that choice, lives were changing. A hospital wing would be built, scholarships would be awarded, legislation would be written, families would be connected, and 2 children who should have been strangers would become friends. Diego's letter had said, "I want to be somebody who helps people just like you do." He'd succeeded beyond what any 8-year-old could have imagined. Pierce cleared his throat. "Lucas, I want you to know something. Your brother gave my daughter the most precious gift anyone could give, her life. I can never repay that debt, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying. Your family will never struggle alone again. I promise you that." "Thank you," Lucas said simply. But the best way to thank Diego is to be good to people. That's what he would want. Not money or fame, just kindness. Out of the mouths of children, Michael thought. This 12-year-old, fresh out of life-threatening surgery, understood what really mattered better than most adults. A nurse came in. "I'm sorry, but Lucas needs to rest now. Too much excitement isn't good for his recovery." Everyone said their goodbyes. Amara hugged Lucas carefully, mindful of his tubes and wires. "I'll come visit again if that's okay." "Please do," Lucas said. "I want to hear about Diego's dreams, about what he tells you." "I'll tell you everything," Amara promised. As they left the room, Elena pulled Michael aside. "Thank you for bringing them here. I didn't want to face the senator. I was too angry, but Amara," seeing her, talking to her, realizing that she's just a child who carries guilt she doesn't deserve. It helped. It helped me let go of some of my own pain. "That's what Diego would have wanted," Michael said. "For everyone to heal, for everyone to move forward." "You know," Elena said thoughtfully, "when you stopped your car that night, I thought you were just another person who would offer sympathy and disappear. I never imagined all of this. The surgery, the partnerships, the senator apologizing, Lucas meeting the girl Diego saved. It's like something Diego orchestrated from wherever he is now." "Maybe he did," Michael said. "Maybe he's been guiding all of us, making sure his sacrifice led to something beautiful." Elena looked back at Lucas's room. Her son was already falling asleep again, exhausted but alive. "He's going to make it, isn't he? Lucas is really going to survive." "Yes," Michael said with confidence. "He's going to survive, and he's going to thrive. I'll make sure of it." Senator Pierce and Amara were waiting by the elevator. When Michael joined them, Pierce extended his hand. "Thank you for holding me accountable, for making me face what I should have faced 2 years ago. I'm a better person for it." "Don't thank me," Michael said. "Thank Diego. He's the one who made all of this happen." As they rode the elevator down, Amara looked up at her father. "Daddy, I want to do something special for Diego, something big." "Like what, honey?" "I want to have a birthday party for him. Every year on his birthday, we should celebrate his life. Invite Lucas and Mrs. Cortez and everyone. Keep his memory alive forever." Pierce's eyes filled with tears. "That's a beautiful idea. We'll do exactly that." Michael left the hospital that evening feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Not the satisfaction of winning a game or closing a business deal. Something deeper. Something that filled his chest with warmth and made him believe in the goodness of humanity again. He'd stopped his car for a crying woman in the rain, and that one choice had created ripples that changed lives. Diego's life had meaning beyond his death. Lucas would live. Elena would heal. Amara would grow up knowing the value of the life she'd been given. And Michael, He'd learned that being a hero wasn't about being perfect or never failing. It was about showing up, about using your power and privilege to lift others, about refusing to look away from suffering. Diego Cortez, an 8-year-old boy with oversized dreams and even more oversized shoes, had taught him that. As Michael drove home, he whispered, "Thank you, Diego, for the letter, for the lesson, for reminding me what really matters." Somewhere Michael liked to think Diego was smiling. Michael woke up at 5:30 a.m. the next morning after only 3 hours of sleep. He'd been dreaming about Diego, the boy he'd never met but felt like he knew. In the dream, Diego was teaching him basketball moves on a court made of clouds, just like Lucas and Amara had described. He checked his phone immediately. A text from Rosa sent at 4:47 a.m. Lucas had a good night. Vitals stable. Lena, finally sleeping in the chair next to his bed. Thought you'd want to know. Michael smiled. Good news, the best news. He showered, dressed, and drove straight back to the hospital. The morning was cool and clear. The rain from 2 nights ago felt like it had happened in another lifetime. So much had changed in just 48 hours. When he arrived at the ICU, he found Rosa in the hallway holding 2 cups of coffee. She looked exhausted but relieved. "You came back," she said, handing him one of the coffees. "I bought an extra one just in case." "How could I not come back?" Michael took a sip. "How's Lucas doing?" "Better every hour." Dr. Okoye came by at 6 for early rounds. She said his recovery is exceeding all expectations. His heart is responding beautifully to the repair. If he continues like this, he might be moved out of ICU in a couple days. "That's incredible." "It's a miracle," Rosa corrected. "That's what it is, a real miracle." She looked at Michael with tears in her eyes. "You know what Alina said to me this morning?" She said, "Maybe God didn't abandon us after all. Maybe he just sent help in a different way than I expected." Michael felt his chest tighten with emotion. "Can I see them?" "Lucas is awake. Alina too. They'd love to see you." He entered the room quietly. Alina sat in a chair pulled close to Lucas's bed, holding his hand. She looked up when Michael came in, and her face broke into a genuine smile, the first real smile he'd seen from her. "Michael, good morning." "Good morning. How's our champion doing?" Lucas turned his head toward Michael. He still looked pale and weak, but there was light in his eyes that hadn't been there before. "Mr. Jordan, guess what? The doctor said I can have real food today, not just ice chips. Real food." Michael laughed. "That's great news. What are you going to eat first?" "Mama said she'll bring me her famous chicken soup, the kind with the little stars in it. I haven't had it in so long." "Your mama's soup must be pretty special." "It's the best in the world," Lucas said seriously. "Diego used to say it could cure anything. I guess we're going to find out if he was right." Alina squeezed her son's hand. Diego was usually right about things like that. Michael pulled up a chair on the other side of the bed. "Lucas, do you remember much about the surgery? About what happened?" Lucas was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I remember being scared, really scared. The nurses were rushing around and Mama was crying, and I knew something was really wrong with me. I couldn't breathe right. Everything hurt." "That must have been terrifying." "It was, but then," Lucas paused, looking at his mother. "Can I tell him, Mama, about what I saw?" Alina nodded, though she looked worried. "If you want to, baby." Lucas turned back to Michael. "When they were putting me to sleep for the surgery, I had this dream, except it didn't feel like a dream. It felt real, like I was really there." "Where were you?" "In a bright place. Everything was white and gold and warm, and Diego was there, not like in my other dreams where he's far away. He was right next to me, close enough to touch." Michael leaned forward. "What did he say?" "He said, 'Hey, little brother, you made it.' And I said, 'Where am I?' And he said, 'You're in the place between. You can go forward or go back. It's your choice.'" Lucas's voice got softer. "I wanted to stay with him. I missed him so much, and he looked so happy, so healthy, like he wasn't in pain anymore." Alina wiped tears from her eyes. "But then Diego took my hand," Lucas continued, "and he said, 'If you stay, Mama will be alone. She's already lost Dad and me. If she loses you too, she won't survive it, not really.' And I said, 'But I want to be with you.' And Diego smiled and said, 'You will be, someday, but not today. Today you need to go back and live for both of us.'" Michael felt chills run down his spine. Then Diego did something weird, Lucas said. He pointed down and I could see the operating room. I could see the doctors working on me. I could see Mama and Aunt Rosa in the waiting room, and I could see you, Mr. Jordan. You were sitting there with them, and Diego said, "See, Mama's not alone anymore. You brought her a teammate, someone who won't let our family fall, so it's okay to go back now. She'll be taken care of." "Lucas," Alina said, her voice shaking, "you never told me this part." "I just remembered it this morning when I woke up," Lucas said. "Diego said one more thing before I left. He said, 'Tell Mama I'm proud of her. Tell her I'm not suffering. Tell her it's okay to be happy again.'" Alina broke down completely. She buried her face in Lucas's blanket and sobbed. Rosa, who had been standing in the doorway, came in and put her arms around her sister. Michael sat frozen, processing what Lucas had just shared. He didn't know if near-death experiences were real or just the brain's way of coping with trauma, but it didn't matter. What mattered was that Lucas believed it, and it had given him the strength to fight, to choose life over death. "Diego was right," Michael said quietly. "Your mama isn't alone. None of you are alone anymore." Lucas smiled weakly. "I know, that's why I came back. Well, that and because Mama makes the best chicken soup in the world." Despite everything, they all laughed. The tension broke. Alina wiped her eyes and kissed Lucas's forehead. "You came back because you're a fighter, just like your brother." "Just like my whole family," Lucas corrected. Dr. Okoye entered the room carrying a tablet. "Good morning, everyone. I hear we have a special visitor." She nodded at Michael. "Mr. Jordan, your presence seems to be very good medicine for my patient." "How's he doing, doctor?" Alina asked anxiously. "Remarkably well, better than I could have hoped at this stage." Dr. Okoye checked the monitors and made notes on her tablet. "His heart rhythm is stable. No signs of rejection or complications. His oxygen levels are excellent. If he continues at this rate, we can start talking about moving him to a regular room tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" Alina stood up. "That's so fast." "Lucas is young and strong. His body is responding beautifully to the repair. We're not out of the woods completely. The next few days are still critical, but I'm very optimistic." "Can I ask you something, doctor?" Lucas said. "Of course." "How bad was it, really? Was I going to die?" Dr. Okoye looked at Alina, who nodded permission to be honest. "Yes," the doctor said gently. "Without the surgery, you would have died within a few days. Your heart was failing, but you had the surgery and you survived it. You're a very lucky young man." "Not lucky," Lucas said. "Blessed. Diego helped me, and Mr. Jordan helped me, and Mama never gave up on me." Dr. Okoye smiled. "Well, whatever you want to call it, you're here, and that's what matters." She made a few more notes. "I'll be back this afternoon to check on you again. Rest as much as you can. Your body is doing a lot of healing work." After the doctor left, Michael's phone buzzed. A text from Stan. "Morning News is picking up the story. Multiple outlets reporting on the Diego Cortez cardiac wing announcement. You're going to start getting media requests." Michael sighed. He'd known this was coming. Good news always attracted attention, but he needed to control the narrative. This wasn't about him or Senator Pierce. This was about Diego and families like the Cortezes who fell through the cracks. "Alina," Michael said, "the media is going to start covering the cardiac wing story. They're going to want to interview you and Lucas. You need to be prepared for that." Alina's face paled. "I can't do interviews. I don't know what to say. I'm not good at that kind of thing." "You don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with," Michael assured her. "But if you do decide to talk to reporters, just tell Diego's story. Tell them who he was, what he meant to you, why his memory matters." "I can do that," Alina said softly. "I can talk about Diego. I just don't want people feeling sorry for us. I don't want to be the poor, tragic family in the news." "Then control your own story," Michael suggested. "Do one big interview, tell everything. Then you don't have to keep repeating it." "Will you be there during the interview?" Alina asked. "If you want me to be, yes." "I want you to be there. You're part of this story too." Over the next several hours, the room became a revolving door of nurses checking vitals, bringing medications, and monitoring Lucas's progress. Each report was positive. His heart was functioning well. His pain was manageable. His recovery was on track. Around noon, Rosa brought the promised chicken soup. The aroma filled the room, rich and comforting. Lucas's face lit up when he saw it. Finally, real food. Alina helped him sit up more in bed, adjusting the pillows behind him. She fed him small spoonfuls carefully, watching his face for any sign of discomfort. "This is exactly how I remembered it," Lucas said between bites. "Diego was right. This soup can cure anything." "Your brother always had good taste," Alina said, smiling. Michael's phone rang. It was Senator Pierce. "Michael, I'm getting calls from reporters asking about the cardiac wing. My press secretary wants to set up a formal announcement." I told her no. "Not without talking to you and Mrs. Cortez first." "Good, Alina isn't ready for that yet. Lucas just had major surgery. Let's give them a few days." "Agreed, but we need to release some kind of statement, or the media will create their own narrative." Michael thought for a moment. "Let me talk to Alina, I'll call you back." He explained the situation to Alina. She looked overwhelmed. "I don't know what to say to reporters. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I mess it up?" "You can't mess it up," Michael said. "This is your story, your son's story. Whatever you say will be the right thing because it's the truth. Can you help me write something? I'm not good with words." "You're better than you think, but yes, I'll help." They spent the next hour working together on a statement. Alina talked about Diego, his love of basketball, his kind heart, his dreams for the future. She talked about the day he died, about Amara, about the years of struggle that followed. She talked about Lucas's illness and the terror of almost losing another child. Michael typed while she talked, shaping her words into something the media could use. But he kept her voice, her emotion, her truth. When they finished, Alina read it over and started crying. "This is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to say but didn't know how." "It's your words," Michael said. "I just organized them." They sent the statement to Senator Pierce, who forwarded it to his press secretary. Within an hour, it was released to the media. By evening, it was everywhere. The story caught fire. Not because of Michael Jordan's involvement, though that certainly helped, but because of Diego, an 8-year-old boy who believed in heroes, a 10-year-old who died saving a stranger's child, a family that survived unimaginable loss. People connected with it. They shared it. They cried over it. They donated to the Cardiac Wing Fund. Small donations, mostly $10, $25, $50, from regular people who were moved by Diego's story. By the end of the day, the fund had received an additional $127,000 in small donations from across the country. "Look at this," Michael showed Alina the numbers on his phone. "People you've never met are honoring Diego's memory." Alina stared at the screen in disbelief. "All of that for Diego?" "For Diego, for your family, because people want to help. They just needed to know where to look." Lucas, who had been dozing, opened his eyes. "Does this mean Diego's famous now?" "In a way, yes," Michael said. "His story is being shared everywhere. People are learning about what he did, about who he was." "Good," Lucas said firmly. "He deserves to be famous. He was the best person I never got to meet." That evening, a different kind of visitor arrived. Coach Terrence Williams from the rec center, carrying a worn basketball under his arm. The nurse at the desk tried to stop him. Visiting hours were almost over, but Michael intervened. "Let him in. This is important." Coach Williams walked into Lucas's room looking nervous. He hadn't been to a hospital since Diego died. The memories were still raw. "Mrs. Cortez," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I came as soon as I heard Lucas was awake." "Coach Williams," Alina stood and hugged him. "Thank you for coming." The old coach looked at Lucas in the bed. "Young man, you look just like your brother. Same eyes, same smile." "Everyone says that," Lucas replied. "I wish I could have known him." "I wish you could have too. He would have loved you." Coach Williams set the basketball on Lucas's bed. This was Diego's basketball, the one he used every day at practice. "I kept it after he died. Couldn't bring myself to give it away or let another kid use it, but I think Diego would want you to have it." Lucas touched the ball reverently. It was scuffed and worn, the leather soft from years of use. This was really his. Every dribble, every shot, every practice. That ball knows your brother's dreams. Lucas hugged the basketball to his chest. "Thank you. This is the best present anyone could give me." When you get better, Coach Williams said, you come down to the rec center. I'll teach you everything I taught Diego. The moves, the shots, the mental game. He'd want that. I will, Lucas promised. I want to play just like him. Not just like him, Coach Williams corrected gently. You'll play like yourself, but with his heart. That's what matters. They talked for a while longer, Coach Williams sharing stories about Diego, making Lucas laugh with tales of the stubborn 8-year-old who refused to give up even when he was the smallest kid on the court. When visiting hours ended, the coach hugged Alina one more time. That boy of yours, both your boys, they're special. Diego changed my life, taught me more about courage than I ever taught him about basketball, and I can see Lucas has that same spirit. After he left, Lucas was still holding the basketball. Mama, do you think Diego knows about all of this? About Mr. Jordan helping us? About the cardiac wing? About me surviving the surgery? Yes, baby, I think he knows. I think he's been watching over us this whole time. I think so too, Lucas said. In fact, I know so, because right before I woke up from surgery, Diego told me one last thing. What did he say? He said, tell Mr. Jordan thank you. Tell him he kept his promise. Lucas looked at Michael. What promise did you make to Diego? Michael thought about Diego's letter, about the 8-year-old who believed in heroes, who believed that one person could make a difference. I didn't make him a promise with words, Michael said slowly. But every time I achieved something, every time I won a championship, every time I inspired someone, I was making an unspoken promise to every kid who believed in me. A promise that their belief mattered, that I wouldn't let them down. You didn't, Lucas said. You kept your promise. You saved me. You saved Mama. You made sure Diego's name would be remembered. That's everything he would have wanted. Michael felt tears sting his eyes. Your brother was wiser than most adults I know. He learned from the best, Lucas said, looking at his mother. He learned from Mama. She's the strongest person in the world. Alina shook her head. I'm not strong. I'm just a mother doing what mothers do, trying to protect her children. That is being strong, Michael said. You faced loss that would have destroyed most people, but you kept going, kept working, kept fighting for Lucas. That's not just strength, that's heroism. I don't feel like a hero. Heroes never do, Michael said. That's what makes them heroes. As night fell and Lucas drifted off to sleep, Michael sat with Alina in the quiet room. The machines beeped their steady rhythm, life continuing, hearts beating, hope surviving. Can I ask you something? Alina said softly. Why did you really stop that night? The truth. It couldn't have been just about seeing someone crying. Michael thought carefully before answering. I'd been at a meeting about expanding my business empire, making more money, building more things, and I was driving home feeling empty, feeling like all of it was meaningless. Then I saw you on that bench and something inside me said, this matters, this is real, this is what you're supposed to do. So I was your midlife crisis project, Alina asked, but she was smiling. No, you were my wake-up call. You reminded me why I worked so hard to become successful in the first place, not for myself, but so I could help people when they needed it most. Diego would have liked you, Alina said, if he'd lived long enough to meet you in person. You're exactly the kind of hero he believed in, not perfect, not superhuman, just someone who shows up when it matters. I'm trying to live up to his expectations, Michael said. You're doing more than trying, you're succeeding. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Lucas sleep. His chest rose and fell steadily. His heart, repaired, strengthened, given a second chance, beat on. In 3 days, Lucas would be moved to a regular room. In a week, he'd start physical therapy. In 2 weeks, if everything went well, he'd go home. And when he did, he'd go home to a different life than the one he'd left. A life where his family wasn't alone, where his brother's memory lived in hospital wings and scholarships, where he had new friends like Amara, where his future was secure. All because Michael Jordan stopped his car for a crying woman in the rain. All because Diego Cortez wrote a letter that finally found its recipient. All because sometimes, when you think you're at the end of everything, you're actually at the beginning of something new. Michael looked at Diego's basketball resting on the chair beside Lucas's bed. Worn leather, faded markings, the ghost of 1,000 dribbles pressed into its surface. I kept my promise, Diego, Michael whispered. I protected your family. I made sure your sacrifice mattered. I became the hero you believed I could be." And somewhere in a place beyond seeing, Michael imagined Diego smiling. Not the smile of a child who died too young, but the smile of someone who knew, beyond all doubt, that his life had changed the world. 3 days passed in a blur of small victories. Lucas was moved from the ICU to a regular room on the pediatric floor. The new room had windows that let in sunlight, walls painted with cheerful clouds and birds, and 2 chairs that actually reclined so Alina and Rosa could take turns sleeping beside Lucas without destroying their backs. Each day brought progress. Lucas could sit up without help. He could eat regular meals. He could walk to the bathroom with assistance. Small things that meant everything. Michael visited every afternoon. He'd arrive around 2:00 p.m. with food for Alina and Rosa, sandwiches from the good deli downtown, fresh fruit, sometimes cookies from a bakery that Alina mentioned once that she loved. He never announced these visits. He just showed up, like it was the most natural thing in the world. On the 4th day after surgery, Lucas was walking in the hallway with a physical therapist when Michael arrived. The boy moved slowly, carefully, but he moved. Alina walked beside him, holding his arm, her face a mixture of pride and worry. "Look, Mr. Jordan," Lucas called out when he saw Michael. "I walked all the way from my room to the nurse's station and back. That's almost 50 steps. 50 steps today, 100 tomorrow. Next week you'll be running laps," Michael said, holding up the bag of food. "I brought lunch. Hope everyone's hungry." They gathered in Lucas's room. Alina spread the food out on the rolling table. Turkey sandwiches with all the fixings, fresh strawberries, chips, lemonade. It felt almost like a picnic. "This is nice," Rosa said, biting into her sandwich. "Like we're regular people having a regular lunch, not sitting in a hospital worried about everything." "We should do this more often," Alina agreed. "When Lucas comes home, I mean, family meals, taking time to just be together." "When I come home," Lucas said thoughtfully, "the first thing I want to do is go to that memorial for Diego. The one Mr. Jordan told me about, at the intersection. I want to see it." Alina's face clouded. "Lucas, I don't know if that's a good idea. That place, it holds painful memories." "But it's also where Diego became a hero," Lucas insisted. "It's important. I need to see it. I need to feel close to him." "We'll go together," Michael offered. "When you're strong enough, all of us, we'll bring fresh flowers, maybe add something new to the memorial." "Like what?" Lucas asked. "I don't know yet, but we'll think of something meaningful." Alina looked at Michael gratefully. He had a way of making difficult things feel possible, of taking moments that could be painful and transforming them into healing. A knock on the door interrupted them. A young woman in professional clothes stood there holding a tablet and a small gift bag. "I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm Jennifer Chen from the Charlotte Observer. I've been trying to reach Mrs. Cortez for an interview about Diego and the cardiac wing." Alina stiffened. "I gave a statement already. I don't know what else there is to say." "I understand, but your story, Diego's story, has touched thousands of people. They're donating money, sharing the story online. They want to know more about the boy who inspired all of this." "I don't think—" "What's in the bag?" Lucas interrupted. Jennifer smiled at him. "Actually, it's for you from readers. When people heard about your surgery, they started sending things to the newspaper office. Cards mostly, but some gifts. This is just a small sample of what's arrived." She handed the bag to Lucas. Inside were cards, dozens of them from strangers all over the country. Children had drawn pictures. Adults had written encouraging messages. Some included dollar bills, 1s and 5s, whatever people could afford. Lucas pulled out a card with a crayon drawing of a basketball. Inside, in a child's handwriting, "Dear Lucas, I'm sorry about your brother. He sounds like he was really cool. I hope you get better soon. From Jacob, age 7. People I don't know sent these." Lucas looked amazed. "Hundreds of them," Jennifer said. "Your brother's story resonated with people. They want to help. They want to support your family." Alina took one of the cards and read it. Tears filled her eyes. "These are so kind. I had no idea." "That's what I'd like to write about," Jennifer said gently. "Not just the tragedy, but the healing, the connection. How one boy's sacrifice has created this ripple effect of kindness. Would you consider talking to me, just for a few minutes. Michael caught Alina's eye and gave a small nod. She took a deep breath. Okay, but not here, not in the hospital. When Lucas comes home, you can visit us there, in our neighborhood, where Diego grew up. That's where his story should be told. That would be perfect, Jennifer agreed. Thank you, Mrs. Cortez. I promise I'll treat your family's story with the respect it deserves. After the reporter left, Lucas continued looking through the cards. Each one made him smile. Each one represented someone who cared about a family they'd never met. Mama, Lucas said quietly. Diego helped so many people, even after he died. That's amazing. It is, Alina agreed. Your brother always wanted to make a difference. I just wish he was here to see it. Maybe he is, Lucas said. Maybe he can see all of this. The cards, the people caring, Mr. Jordan helping us. Maybe he's watching and feeling proud. I think you're right, Michael said. I think Diego knows exactly what's happening, and I think he's very proud of all of you. That evening after Michael left, Dr. Okoye came by for her evening rounds. She examined Lucas carefully, checking his incision, listening to his heart, reviewing his charts. This is remarkable, she said finally. Your recovery is exceeding all my expectations. If you continue at this pace, we can start talking about discharge in about a week. A week, Alina gasped. Really? He can come home in a week? Possibly. We'll need to see how the next few days go. But Lucas is strong. His heart is functioning beautifully. His body is healing well. There's no reason to keep him here longer than necessary. After the doctor left, Alina sat on the edge of Lucas's bed. A week? You could be home in a week, sleeping in your own bed, eating meals at our table. I can't wait, Lucas said. I miss home, I miss my room, I miss everything being normal. Things won't be exactly the same as before, Alina warned. You'll have restrictions, no running around, no playing rough. You'll need to take medications every day, have regular checkups. I know, but I'll be alive. That's what matters. Alina kissed his forehead. Yes, you'll be alive, and that's everything. The next morning, Michael arrived earlier than usual, around 10:00 a.m. instead of his usual 2:00 p.m. He looked excited about something. I have news, he announced. The Diego Cortez cardiac wing is officially approved. Construction starts next month. They're going to build it as an addition to this hospital. State-of-the-art equipment, 20 beds, the best pediatric cardiac care in the region. Alina covered her mouth with both hands. Next month, that fast. When you have enough funding and determination, things move quickly. Senator Pierce used his connections to fast-track the permits. The hospital administration is thrilled. This is going to help so many children. Diego would love this, Lucas said from his bed. He always wanted to help kids like him, kids who were struggling. There's more, Michael continued. The scholarship fund is being established through the Cortez Family Foundation. That means, Alina, you'll have a say in who receives the scholarships. You'll be part of choosing which families get help. Me, Alina looked shocked, but I don't know anything about running a foundation. You know everything that matters, Michael said. You know what it's like to struggle, to feel alone, to need help but not know where to find it. That's the most important qualification. Rosa, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. This is big, Alina, really big. Are you sure you're ready for this? I don't know if I'm ready, Alina admitted, but I think Diego would want me to do it, to make sure his name helps the right people. So yes, I'll do it. Good, Michael said, because there's one more thing. The hospital wants to have a dedication ceremony when the cardiac wing opens. They want you and Lucas to be there, to cut the ribbon, to see Diego's name on the building. Lucas sat up straighter. Can I really do that, cut the ribbon? You're the guest of honor, Michael said. You and your mother both. Over the next few days, life settled into a new rhythm. Lucas continued to recover. His strength returned gradually. The scar on his chest began to heal. He started sleeping through the night without pain. Visitors came. Coach Williams brought the whole rec center basketball team to meet Lucas. The boys, all between 8 and 12 years old, crowded into the room, shy at first, then warming up when they realized Lucas was just a regular kid like them. Your brother was a legend at our rec center, one boy named Marcus said. Coach still talks about him all the time. Says Diego had more heart than players twice his size. That sounds like him, Lucas said, smiling. Even in our mama's stories, Diego never gave up on anything. The team had brought a gift, a jersey with Diego's name and number on it. Number 23, of course. Michael Jordan's number. We retired this number, Coach Williams explained. Nobody will ever wear it again at our rec center. It belongs to Diego forever. Alina accepted the jersey with shaking hands. She held it to her chest, breathing in the smell of the fabric, imagining Diego wearing it. Thank you. This means more than you know. Amara Pierce visited twice more. The second time she brought her mother, an elegant woman named Catherine who looked nervous about meeting Alina. Mrs. Cortez, Catherine Pierce said, I've wanted to meet you for 2 years, to thank you properly for what your son did. I'm ashamed it took this long. Alina studied the woman carefully. Catherine's eyes were red like she'd been crying before coming. Her hands twisted together anxiously. You don't need to be ashamed, Alina said finally. You didn't know us, and grief makes people do strange things, or not do things they should. I should have insisted Richard help your family. I knew it was wrong to just move on. But I was so grateful Amara was alive that I didn't want to think about the cost, about your loss. Catherine's voice broke. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Mama, Amara tugged on her mother's hand. Don't cry. Diego wouldn't want you to cry. How do you know what Diego wants? Catherine asked gently. Because he tells me, in my dreams. He says everyone should be happy. He says being sad all the time doesn't honor him. Being good honors him. The adults in the room fell silent. This 7-year-old girl speaking wisdom beyond her years. Alina knelt down to Amara's level. Your mama is right to feel sorry, just like I was right to feel angry, but you know what? I'm tired of being angry. It doesn't help anything, so I'm choosing to forgive, to move forward, to focus on the living instead of only mourning the dead. Does that mean we can be friends? Amara asked. Me and Lucas and you and my parents. Alina looked at Lucas, who nodded eagerly. Yes, Alina said, we can be friends. Amara threw her arms around Alina's neck. Catherine Pierce wiped tears from her eyes, and in that hospital room, 2 families that had been connected by tragedy began to heal together. On the 7th day after surgery, Dr. Alcoy came in with Lucas's discharge papers. Congratulations, she said, smiling. You're going home tomorrow. You'll need to come back for weekly checkups for the first month, then monthly after that. But your heart is strong. Your recovery is exceptional. You get to go live your life. Lucas actually cheered. Alina cried happy tears this time. Rosa called everyone she knew to share the good news. Michael, who had been there when Dr. Alcoy delivered the news, felt his own eyes getting wet. He'd invested so much in this family over the past week. Their joy had become his joy. Their healing had become his mission. I have something for you, Michael said to Lucas. He pulled out a package wrapped in simple brown paper. A going-home gift. Lucas tore open the paper eagerly. Inside was a pair of Air Jordans, brand new, his exact size, signed by Michael with a message. To Lucas, your brother believed in never giving up. You proved he was right. Keep fighting. Keep believing. Your teammate always, MJ. Lucas stared at the shoes with wonder. These are just like the ones Diego had, the ones he won. Not just like them, Michael corrected. These are the same model, same edition. I had to call in some favors to find them. They're not made anymore, but I wanted you to have them, to connect you to Diego, to remind you that his spirit lives on in you. I'll take care of them, Lucas promised. I'll wear them and think of Diego every time. Don't just think of him, Michael said. Live like him, be brave, be kind. Help others when you can. That's how you honor his memory. I will, Lucas said solemnly. I promise I will. That night, Alina couldn't sleep. She sat in the chair beside Lucas's bed, watching him breathe in the darkness. Tomorrow they'd go home, back to their small apartment, back to regular life. Except life would never be regular again. Everything had changed. She had a job with the foundation, a purpose beyond just surviving day to day. Diego's name would live on in a hospital wing. Lucas had a future. They had friends, real friends, who cared about them. And they had Michael Jordan, a man who had stopped his car for a stranger and changed their entire world. Thank you, Diego. Alina whispered into the darkness. Thank you for writing that letter. Thank you for believing in heroes. Thank you for being the kind of person who ran toward danger instead of away from it. Everything good that's happening now, it all traces back to you. She imagined Diego somewhere somehow hearing her words, smiling his bright smile, proud of his little brother for surviving, happy that his mama was finally healing. I'm not angry anymore, Alina continued. I'm not asking why you had to die. I'm just grateful you lived. Grateful you were mine, even if it was only for 10 years. You packed more love and courage into those years than most people show in a lifetime. In his bed, Lucas stirred. Mama, are you talking to Diego? Yes, baby, is that weird? No, I talk to him too, all the time. Lucas turned toward her in the dim light. Do you think he's happy wherever he is? Yes, Alina said with certainty. I think he's very happy. I think he's playing basketball on those cloud courts you and Amara see in your dreams. I think he's watching over us. And I think he's proud of the family we're becoming. Me too, Lucas said. He closed his eyes again, drifting back to sleep. Alina sat in the quiet hospital room, watching over her surviving son, and for the first time in 2 years, she felt something she'd almost forgotten existed. Peace. Not the kind that means everything is perfect. Not the kind that erases pain or brings back the dead, but the kind that comes from acceptance, from knowing that life continues even after loss. That love doesn't end when someone dies, it just transforms into something different. Diego was gone, but Diego's love remained. Diego's courage remained. Diego's impact on the world remained. And that, Alina realized, was enough. It had to be enough. Because tomorrow she would take Lucas home. She would start this new chapter of their lives. She would work with the foundation to help other families. She would tell Diego's story to anyone who would listen. She would make sure his sacrifice mattered. I'm ready, Alina whispered. I'm ready to be strong again. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to live instead of just surviving. And somewhere in the space between sleeping and waking, between memory and hope, between grief and healing, Alina felt something warm wrap around her heart. It felt like Diego hugging her one last time, telling her it was okay to be happy again, telling her he loved her, telling her goodbye, not forever, just for now. Outside the hospital window, the night began to fade. Dawn was coming, a new day, a new beginning. Alina took a deep breath and smiled. Tomorrow they would go home. And life, real life, with all its challenges and joys and possibilities, would begin again. The morning Lucas was discharged, the hospital felt different. Sunlight streamed through the windows, making everything seem brighter, more hopeful. Nurses who had cared for Lucas over the past week stopped by to say goodbye. Some brought small gifts, a stuffed animal, a comic book, a card signed by the entire pediatric staff. You're our miracle patient, one nurse named Sarah told Lucas as she checked his vitals one final time. We don't see recoveries like yours very often. You fought hard, young man. I had help, Lucas said, looking at his mother. Mama never left my side, and Diego watched over me. Sarah smiled with tears in her eyes. Well, whatever combination it was, it worked. You take care of yourself, okay? And come back to visit us when you're all healed up. We want to see you running around being a normal kid. Dr. Akoy arrived with the official discharge papers. She went through the instructions carefully with Alina, medications, activity restrictions, warning signs to watch for follow-up appointments. Remember, Dr. Akoy emphasized, no strenuous activity for at least 6 weeks. That means no running, no rough play, no sports. Lucas's heart needs time to fully heal. I'll be careful, Lucas promised. I won't do anything stupid. Good, because I want to see you back here in 1 week for a checkup, and I expect you to be doing even better than you are now. Dr. Akoy shook Alina's hand. Mrs. Cortez, you have a remarkable son. Both of your sons were remarkable. Take care of this one. I will, Alina said firmly. I'll never take a single day with him for granted. Michael arrived just as they were finishing the paperwork. He'd arranged for a car service to take them home, a comfortable SUV with plenty of room. You didn't have to do this, Alina protested. We could have taken a taxi. I know I didn't have to. I wanted to. Michael helped Lucas into the wheelchair that hospital policy required. Besides, I'm coming with you. I want to see where Diego grew up, where Lucas will continue growing up. The drive to Alina's neighborhood took 20 minutes. They passed through downtown Charlotte, then into older residential areas where the houses got smaller and closer together. Finally, they pulled up to a modest apartment building with faded blue paint and a small playground out front. "This is it," Alina said, suddenly feeling embarrassed. Her home looked shabby compared to the places Michael Jordan probably lived. "It's not much, but it's ours." "It's perfect," Michael said sincerely. "This is where Diego learned to be brave, where he practiced basketball in that driveway." He pointed to the cracked concrete pad beside the building with a rusty hoop attached to the wall. "This is sacred ground." They helped Lucas out of the car and up the stairs to the second-floor apartment. Alina unlocked the door, and they entered a small but clean living space. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen barely big enough for 2 people, and a living room with worn furniture that had seen better days. Pictures of Diego covered almost every surface. Diego at age 5 with his first basketball. Diego at 8 wearing the Air Jordans. Diego with Alina and Marco before Marco died. Diego's smile beaming out from dozens of frames. "You kept all of these," Michael said softly, studying the photographs. "Of course, I never wanted to forget a single moment with him." Alina touched one of the frames gently. "Sometimes Rosa tells me it's not healthy to have so many pictures up, that I'm living in the past. But these pictures are proof that Diego existed, that he mattered, that he was real." "They're beautiful," Michael said. "And Rosa's wrong. This isn't living in the past. This is honoring someone you love." Lucas went straight to the bedroom he would have shared with Diego if his brother had lived. It was small, barely room for a twin bed, a dresser, and a few shelves, but the walls were covered with basketball posters. Michael Jordan featured prominently, of course, but there were also other players, teams, championships. "Diego decorated this room," Lucas explained. "Mama kept it exactly the way he left it. She says it's our room, his and mine, even though we never got to share it." Michael noticed a small shrine on the dresser. Diego's Air Jordans, the ones he'd been wearing when he died, sat in a place of honor. They were scuffed and worn, with one shoe still stained with blood. Beside them sat Diego's favorite basketball, the one Coach Williams had given to Lucas at the hospital. "Those are the shoes," Michael said, more statement than question. "Yes," Alina said from the doorway. "The paramedics gave them back to me at the hospital, after Diego died. I couldn't bring myself to throw them away. They're all I have left of that day, the last things he wore, the last things he touched." Michael walked closer and picked up one of the shoes reverently. His signature was still visible, though faded. He thought about Diego writing that letter, wearing these shoes, believing that Michael Jordan was someone worth believing in. "Mrs. Cortez, Alina, can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "Do you ever regret that Diego won these shoes? If he hadn't won them, maybe he wouldn't have been wearing them that day. Maybe he would have walked a different route. Maybe things would have been different." Alina was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I used to think that. I used to torture myself with what-ifs. What if he'd taken a different street? What if the nanny had been paying attention? What if Diego had hesitated just 1 second? But you know what I realized?" "What?" "Diego died being exactly who he wanted to be. A hero, someone who helped others, someone brave. If he'd lived but become someone bitter or scared or selfish, that would have been worse. He died with his character intact. Died being the best version of himself. As much as it hurts, I can't regret that." Michael set the shoe down carefully. "You're the strongest person I've ever met." "I'm not strong. I'm just a mother who had no choice but to keep going. There's a difference." Rosa arrived an hour later with groceries and a homemade meal. The small apartment filled with the smell of cooking, rice, beans, chicken, and vegetables. She'd also brought a cake that said "Welcome Home Lucas" in blue frosting. "You didn't have to do all this," Alina protested, though she looked grateful. "Yes, I did. This is a celebration. Lucas came home. That's worth celebrating." They ate together at the tiny kitchen table, all 5 of them squeezed in. Alina, Lucas, Rosa, Michael, and surprisingly, Coach Williams, who had shown up unannounced with flowers. "I couldn't stay away," the coach admitted. "I needed to see with my own eyes that Lucas made it home safe." The meal was simple but delicious. They talked and laughed, sharing stories about Diego, about the hospital, about the future. For the first time in years, Alina's home felt full of life instead of just memories. After lunch, Michael stood up. "I have something I need to show everyone. Can you all come outside for a minute?" Curious, they followed him down to the parking lot. The SUV that had brought them home was still there, but now there was another vehicle beside it, a brand new wheelchair-accessible van with a bow on top. Alina's hand flew to her mouth. "What is this?" "It's for your family," Michael said. "I know you don't have a car, I know you take the bus everywhere, but with Lucas's medical appointments and everything else, you need reliable transportation. So this is yours, paid off completely. Insurance for 3 years, maintenance covered." "I can't accept this," Alina said, shaking her head. "It's too much. You've already done too much." "It's not too much," Michael insisted. "It's practical. Lucas needs to get to his appointments. You need to get to work. This makes life easier. There's no reason to refuse it except pride, and Alina, you've earned the right to accept help." Alina looked at the van, then at her sister, then at Lucas. "What do you think, baby? Should we accept Mr. Jordan's gift?" "Yes," Lucas said immediately. "Diego would want us to. He'd say we're a team and teammates help each other." "See," Michael smiled. "Even Lucas knows I'm right." Alina walked over and hugged Michael tightly. "Thank you for everything, for stopping that night, for caring about strangers, for making Diego's sacrifice mean something, for saving my son, for giving us a future. Thank you." "You're welcome," Michael said, returning the hug. "But I'm not done yet. There's one more thing we need to do today, something important." "What's that?" "We need to visit Diego's memorial. Lucas wanted to see it, and I think we all need to be there together, to close one chapter and start the next one." An hour later, they all stood at the intersection where Diego had died. The small memorial was still there, more elaborate now than when Michael had first seen it. Someone had added fresh flowers recently. There were more photos, more notes, more tokens of remembrance. Lucas stood staring at the spot, his new Air Jordans on his feet, holding Diego's old basketball. He was quiet for a long time. "This is where it happened," he finally said. "This is where Diego became a hero." "Yes," Alina confirmed, her voice tight with emotion. "It doesn't look scary. It just looks like a regular street corner." "Most important moments happen in regular places," Michael said. "That's what makes them remarkable. Diego wasn't in some extraordinary situation. He was just walking home, and he chose courage when courage was needed." Lucas knelt down and placed Diego's basketball among the memorial items. "I want to leave this here, so people know Diego loved basketball, so they know he was a real kid with real dreams." "Are you sure?" Alina asked. "That was his basketball, his favorite." "I'm sure. Coach Williams gave me one at the hospital, and I have these shoes from Mr. Jordan. I don't need to hold onto everything Diego touched. I need to share him with the world." Michael felt his throat tighten. This 12-year-old kid, barely recovered from major surgery, understood something profound about grief and healing and legacy. Rosa added fresh flowers to the memorial. Coach Williams said a prayer. Alina stood with her arms around Lucas, tears streaming down her face, but she was smiling too. "Diego," Alina said out loud, "we're here, all of us. We came to say thank you. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for saving Amara. Thank you for teaching us what real courage looks like. And thank you for bringing all these people together. You changed our lives, baby. Even after you left us, you changed our lives." Michael stepped forward and placed something at the base of the memorial, a framed copy of Diego's letter, the one the 8-year-old had written after winning the Air Jordans. "I want everyone who passes by to read this," Michael explained. "To see Diego's words, to understand who he was not just in death but in life. This letter shows his heart, his dreams, his character, and it deserves to be shared." A small crowd had gathered, drawn by the sight of Michael Jordan at the memorial. People held up phones, taking pictures, but they did so respectfully, quietly. They seemed to understand this was a sacred moment. One woman approached hesitantly. "Excuse me, are you Mrs. Cortez, Diego's mother?" "Yes," Alina said. "I just wanted to tell you I drive past this memorial every day, every single day. And every day I read the notes people leave. Your son's story inspired me to be a better person, to pay attention, to help when I can. He changed my life and I never even met him." "Thank you for telling me that," Alina said, wiping her eyes. "It helps to know his life mattered to people beyond our family." "It matters to a lot of people," the woman said, "more than you probably realize." Over the next hour, several people stopped by, some to pay respects, some to ask questions, some just to stand silently and acknowledge the significance of the place. Michael watched Alina handle each interaction with grace. She was tired, he could see that, emotionally drained, but she was also standing taller than she had a week ago. There was strength in her that hadn't been there before, hope that had been absent. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, they prepared to leave. Lucas took one last look at the memorial. "Goodbye, Diego," he said softly. "I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to live my life the way you would have wanted, with courage, with kindness, with purpose, I promise." They drove back to Alina's apartment in the new van. Lucas fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from his first full day out of the hospital. Rosa rode with them, giving Alina instructions on how all the van's features worked. Michael followed in his own car. When they arrived at the apartment building, he helped carry Lucas inside. The boy barely woke up as they settled him into bed. "Thank you again," Alina said, walking Michael back to his car. "I don't know how to properly express what you've done for us." "You don't need to express it, I can see it. In Lucas's recovery, in your healing, in the way your family is starting to breathe again. That's all the thanks I need." "Will we see you again? Or is this where your involvement ends?" Michael smiled. "Alina, I'm not going anywhere. We're teammates now, remember. Besides, I promised Lucas I'd teach him some basketball moves when he's fully recovered, and I keep my promises." "Diego taught you well," Alina said. "No, you and Diego taught me well. You taught me what really matters, what true strength looks like, what heroism really means." Alina hugged him one more time. "Diego would have loved knowing you, really knowing you, not just admiring you from afar." "I would have loved knowing him too," Michael said honestly. "But in a way, I do know him, through his letter, through his family, through everyone he touched. Diego's still here. His spirit, his courage, his love, they're all still here." Michael drove home that night feeling different than he had in years. Lighter somehow, more connected to what really mattered. He'd won 6 NBA championships, built business empires, achieved legendary status, but none of that felt as meaningful as what he'd done this past week. He'd saved a family, honored a fallen hero, created lasting change, and he'd been reminded that real greatness wasn't measured in trophies or money. It was measured in lives touched, in suffering relieved, in hope restored. When Michael got home, he went to his office and pulled out Diego's letter one more time. He'd had it professionally preserved and framed. It now hung on his wall where he could see it every day. "I'm going to make my mama proud. I'm going to be somebody who helps people just like you do." "Mission accomplished, Diego," Michael whispered. "You made your mama proud. You helped people. You became exactly who you wanted to be, and you taught me how to be better too." Michael's phone buzzed with a text from Senator Pierce. "The bill is drafted. Diego's law will be introduced next month. We're going to make sure families like the Cortezes get the support they need. Thanks for pushing me to do the right thing." Another text came from Rosa. "Lucas is sleeping peacefully. Alina is finally smiling. You're a miracle worker, Mr. Jordan." Michael typed back, "Not me, Diego. He was the miracle. I just showed up to help make sure his miracle was seen." Over the following weeks, life continued to transform. The media coverage of Diego's story sparked a national conversation about recognizing young heroes. Donations to the Cardiac Wing Fund exceeded $10 million. The scholarship program received applications from families all over the country. Lucas recovered steadily. Each week brought new progress. By week 3, he was walking without getting tired. By week 6, Dr. Akoy cleared him for light activity. By week 8, he went back to school. The kids at school treated him like a celebrity at first. The boy whose brother saved Senator Pierce's daughter, the boy Michael Jordan had helped save. But Lucas quickly made it clear he didn't want special treatment. "I'm just a regular kid who got lucky," he told his classmates. "My brother was the special one. I'm just trying to live up to his example." Alina started her work with the foundation. It was overwhelming at first, meetings, paperwork, decisions about how to allocate funds. But she discovered she had a gift for it. She could look at an application and immediately understand if the family truly needed help or if they were just seeking attention. Her own suffering had given her radar for authentic need. "You're a natural at this," Michael told her during one of their weekly check-ins. "Diego would be so proud." "I hope so," Alina said. "Every family I help, I think about him. I think about how he would have wanted me to treat them, with dignity, with respect, with genuine care." 3 months after Lucas's surgery, the dedication ceremony for the Diego Cortez cardiac wing was held at Charlotte Medical Center. Hundreds of people attended: hospital staff, donors, families who had been helped by the new facility, media and dignitaries including Senator Pierce and the governor. But the moment that mattered most was when Alina and Lucas stood at the front of the new wing, holding giant scissors, preparing to cut the ribbon. Michael stood beside them. On Lucas's other side stood Amara Pierce, who had become his close friend. "This is for you, Diego," Lucas said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "This is your legacy. Every child who gets help here, every family who finds hope here, they're all connected to you. You're still saving lives, hermano. You're still being a hero." They cut the ribbon together. The crowd applauded. Cameras flashed. But Alina's eyes were on the bronze plaque being unveiled beside the entrance. "The Diego Cortez cardiac wing in memory of Diego Cortez, 2013-2023. True greatness is measured not by victories won, but by lives touched and chances taken for others." Through his courage and sacrifice, Diego continues to inspire hope and save lives. "He's really here," Alina whispered through her tears. "His name is permanent. People will remember him forever." "They will," Michael confirmed. "Diego's story will be told for generations. Every child who enters this wing will learn about the boy who believed in heroes and became one himself." That evening, there was a small private gathering at the rec center where Diego used to play. Coach Williams had organized it. Just close friends and family, no press, no formality. The court had been refinished and renamed the Diego Cortez Memorial Court. A mural now covered one wall, Diego in his oversized Air Jordans, mid-jump shot, basketball in hand, smile on his face. The artist had captured something essential about him, not just his appearance but his spirit. Lucas stood before the mural for a long time. Then he picked up a basketball and took a shot. It bounced off the rim. He tried again. This time it went in. "That was for you, Diego," Lucas said. Michael joined him on the court. "Want to play, just a little one-on-one, nothing too strenuous." "Really? You'll play with me?" "I promised, didn't I? Besides, I need to see if Diego's little brother has game." They played slowly, carefully, mindful of Lucas's limitations. But Lucas was smiling wider than Alina had seen in months. He was doing what Diego loved, in the place Diego loved, honoring his brother by living fully. As the sun set and the court lights came on, more people joined the game. Coach Williams, some kids from the rec center. Even Senator Pierce showed up with Amara, both of them wanting to be part of this moment. Alina sat on the bleachers with Rosa, watching it all. The laughter, the joy. The life filling a space that had been so touched by death. "He would have loved this," Rosa said. "Diego would have loved seeing everyone together like this." "I think he's here," Alina said. "I think he's watching, and I think he's happy." Michael came over during a break, sweating slightly. "Your son has potential. Lucas has good form. With practice, he could be really good. He wants to play on the school team next year, if the doctor clears him. I'll make sure he gets the best training, private coaches if needed, whatever it takes." Michael sat down beside Alina. "How are you doing, really?" "Better," Alina said honestly. "Some days are still hard. I still miss Diego with an ache that never completely goes away. But I'm not drowning anymore. I'm not barely surviving. I'm actually living again." That's all Diego would want. For you to live, for Lucas to live, for love to continue even after loss. "Michael," Alina said seriously, "I need you to know something. When you stopped your car that rainy night, you didn't just save Lucas. You saved me too. I was at the end, completely at the end. One more setback and I would have given up entirely. But you showed up. You cared. You helped me remember that there's still goodness in the world." "I'm glad I stopped," Michael said. "That moment changed my life as much as it changed yours. Diego's letter reminded me why I worked so hard to succeed. Not for fame or money, but to have the power to help when help is needed. You and Lucas gave me purpose again." They sat together watching the game. Lucas made a basket and turned to them, arms raised in victory. Alina cheered. Michael applauded. And if anyone had been paying very close attention, they might have noticed something strange, a shimmer in the air near the mural of Diego. A momentary distortion of light that could have been a reflection or could have been something else entirely. Lucas saw it. He saw it clearly, Diego standing there watching the game, smiling his brilliant smile. Their eyes met across the court. Diego nodded once, then placed his hand over his heart. Lucas understood. Diego was saying goodbye, not forever, but releasing his family to move forward, giving them permission to be happy without guilt, promising to watch over them but no longer hold them back with grief. Lucas placed his own hand over his heart in response. Then Diego faded, becoming one with the mural, one with the memory, one with the love that never dies. "Are you okay?" Michael asked, noticing Lucas's expression. "Yeah," Lucas said, smiling through tears. "I'm perfect. Diego just told me goodbye." "He did. He said it's okay. Everything is okay now. We can be happy. We can move forward. He'll always be with us, but we don't have to stay stuck in the past anymore." Alina overheard this. She walked onto the court and hugged her son tightly. "He's right. It is okay. We're going to be okay." "We're going to be better than okay," Lucas said. "We're going to be great, just like Diego always was." The game continued late into the evening. People laughed and played and celebrated life. The Diego Cortez Memorial Court was officially christened with joy instead of just tears. And somewhere in that space between earth and heaven, between memory and eternity, Diego watched his family finally healing. He saw his mother laughing. He saw his brother playing basketball on the court he'd loved. He saw Michael Jordan, his hero, keeping the promise Diego had believed in since he was 8 years old. He saw that his life, though short, had created ripples that would never end, that his sacrifice had meaning, that his courage had inspired others, that his love continued to change the world. And Diego Cortez smiled his brightest smile because he'd done it. He'd made his mama proud, he'd helped people, he'd become somebody who mattered. And his brother, his beautiful, brave little brother, was going to carry that legacy forward. The mission was complete. The promise was fulfilled. And love, as it always does, had conquered even death itself. So that's the incredible story of how Michael Jordan stopped his car for a crying mother and changed an entire family's life forever. Diego's courage created ripples that are still spreading today, helping children and families all across the country. Now I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this video from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. I love seeing our community spread across the world. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button. It helps us share these powerful stories of kindness and hope with more people who need to hear them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss another inspiring story. Because the world needs more reminders that goodness still exists, that heroes are real, and that one act of kindness can change everything. There's another incredible story waiting for you right now on your screen. Click it and keep spreading kindness. Thanks for watching, and remember, you never know when stopping to help someone might change both of your lives forever.